but it's very difficult. We're fighting criminals, but we've done everything to document and get you as close as we can to getting the squeeze of squeezes here. All right, so
what was the symbol on that stock again? Because it.
There's two of them: Sam, Eddie, Charlie, Oscar. Sam, Eddie, Charlie, Oscar. It's up from 30 cents. It's traded $1.84 on 18 million shares. That close, I guess. Who knows? Who knows what's going on again? And Tom, Peter, Sam, Tom, Peter, Sam, Tom. I think it went from 30 cents to $11 today or something like that.
Okay.
And those are two. And the second one is working on something for a cancer we deliver, so it's just outstanding. Right? Because when you get a cancer and you're living, take it easy. There's no cure. All right, so again, those are two things. Short squeezes under the rate. Everyone's calling me up. Did you see it? Did you play it? No, I did not play it. I do not chase things. I do my homework. I do the opposite. I got to read and get my turn. I don't chase things. Imagine if you went and paid 10 and it's 7 now, you would go crazy. So I don't chase things. I do it the opposite way. But if I have a shareholder calling in with some information, and I'd like them to call in now, they'll call in and I'll patch it in. He called up with the information for me, and I thought it'd be something that would be good for everyone to hear.
Well, stand away from the iron beam or whatever, wherever you are. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, let me just hold on 1 second.
It's in and out. It's not always bad.
I'm going to run to a different part of the house. Hold on. Am I clear now?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, I climbed onto the roof. I turned into that I'm like Green Acres, William. I have to climb up to a pole to make a phone call now. Anyway, to the shareholder that got this scoop, can you call in? And hold on, here it is. Everyone, I have a shareholder. Are you there? Hello? Did I have? Hello? I'm here. All right. William, you there?
I'm here.
All right, so Mr. Shareholder, I won't give everybody a name, but you don't need to. So just give us the scoop that you reported to me, and I want people to hear it.
All right, well, I heard a rumor from a very reliable source that Universal's clients bought 1,000 of the $7 calls today. And they've been buying about 200 to 300 a day for the last week or two. So I think, from what I can gather, they have about 5,000 to 6,000 calls.
And what month?
So I don't know. What'd you say? Oh, they're buying October. That's what I was told.
All right, so we think that U.S. clients are climbing calls and size.
Yes. And I trust this source. Now, I don't know about stock. How much stock they bought, I have no idea. People are going to have to look into, figure that out on their own. But
again, Wall Street's a small place, and thank you very much. I won't ask you anymore.
Somebody was buying today.
I didn't even look at it until just now, but
I saw the 1,000 share, the 1,000 calls bought at 7. I was actually on the phone with the buddy out of Canada. And he, and then I heard later on who it was. The rumor of who it was. So
you can't.
That's $45,000 bucks. That's not a retail guy buying that. I'll tell you that. So
listen, thanks.
All right. Good luck. I gotta run.
Let me just talk this with William for a minute. William, you there?
I'm there. Somebody told me to put on my mute, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay, no big deal. Again, so Wall Street's a small place. Stories get around. When people start buying things, people can see it. I didn't see it. I've been bouncing around those days, so I missed it. So when I heard it, I thought it was important that people understand it because people ask me about outcomes all the time. It's nice to know that the people that we're all sitting here, who we believe are going to help us buying calls, and everyone knows that options is where the fast money likes to park. So I think we're in a good spot. Again, I can't confirm it, but I wanted you to hear it, and I hear it just like you. And I'm a believer in it, so that's how I look at these things. But I just wanted to give everyone and William something that people ask about all the time, and we're always checking to see who's doing what. Just a bunch of nosy bodies, as we say. We like to know everything. But that's the best I can do for you. Again, Jeffries, I hope, is falling apart. And the only reason I can see Jeffries falling apart is because they're taking losses in their prime broker unit. And maybe some of these short squeezes that have just started to erupt, that those are their clients. So something is going on. Jeffries is down. Short squeezes are in favor again. And I do believe that we have a life-changing short squeeze. And now we know that there's a group of heavy, big-time, what do you want to call them? I guess, what can we call these guys? People that are behind us, I guess, are behind the cause, are actually loading up on calls. So, William, I wanted to let you know, hopefully I can cheer you up on some good news tonight. And I just wanted everyone to know, I know it's dinner time, I just wanted everyone to hear what we're hearing, okay? So, again, short squeezes on the range. Good luck. Go play them. Don't call me on them. I don't really care. I only follow things that I know. I'm not going to chase anything. I don't do that. So you don't need to call and tell me, but I can't tell you how many people tell me about TPST all day long.
Ocean Sailing told you first.
Who told me?
Ocean Sailing. She's in New Jersey or New York.
It's like $3, right? That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it all day, and I'm just happy that a company can actually save people who have cancer in their liver. That to me was outstanding. I put it up on Twitter to be sarcastic to the SEC, and I said, screw it, short it, who cares? I'm trying to think the opposite way. But that's what they do, and I'm the opposite of that. I want these companies to survive, get money, hire the doctors, hire young people to actually work at the lab to try to get things done. So
Stefan Edberg's nephew, Ryan, said he heard from a very reliable source. If they thought they could win, they would let it go up.
I thought you were talking about, is that the tennis player?
I don't know. I'm making that part up. His name is Ryan Edberg.
I thought I was hearing the tennis sport. Listen, Wall Street's a small place. And unless you work there and understand how it works, when people trade and anything inside is that people are following, the information always comes back out. That's just the way it happened. We used to know Goldman Sachs is buying or this, right? We used to dig for this stuff and figure it out. That's how Wall Street is. People talk all the time. Again, William, I just wanted to give you the scoop of what we heard. It's not from me. Shareholders are hearing it, reporting it to me, and I like to report it back. And that's why I wanted to stop everyone and just give you good information that I think is real strong. You heard it from the source, and we'll see what happens. I hope Jeffries continues to get its ass kicked. All right. I hope the stories of the negative story wipes him out.
One of the calls we have, I'd like you to be there. I just had an hour conversation with a gentleman, Alan, who explains how these guys create tens, hundreds of millions of fraudulent shares from England, from Germany, from the overseas. And they use ADRs, and it's pretty fascinating. And they never get caught. And it all goes to that guy, Ari Rubenstein, or RB Rubenstein, or RB, and his.
The U.S. is a disgrace for allowing it. It's unbelievable that it's been going on this long. I don't know every gory detail of how they float these things. I don't know how every gory detail how the DTC looks the other way, or how they settle trades and your bureau brokers look the other way. I don't have every gory detail, but we know the crime exists. We have 90% of the details. You got the rest of the details and how they're created. And
Pete Tong heard a rumor that Lynn Partners is shorting Jeffries.
That's a good one. I like that. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I don't own any puts in it. I was waiting for Fngr to go past 20. I hope anyone who did purchase it makes money on it. If they allow this stuff, they should be shut down and go out of business. And I hope it happens for them. And they deserve it. And they should all get kicked off their high horses. And that's what I look forward to. But again, William, I don't want to keep everyone tonight. I just wanted to get the information. There's large buyers of the options in October, and they're coming out of, I guess, Hong Kong or wherever they're coming from. And obviously, we have new partners that are from Asia that are behind this company. And what is it? Oh, yeah, the earnings are coming out too. I forgot about that. And I reposted the last video of the CEO, and I'll do it again. You should listen to what he has to say about his company and understand why you're here. Again, I was brought into this company for fundamentals, and it turned into a shit show, fighting Lynn Partners, and this whole nonsense happened. But now that I'm here, I kind of lost focus on what the hell the company does, and I try to check back on it every once in a while. But I'm so consumed on this other end. Again, I'll leave everybody with this. This is a life-changing situation. We've been tracking this thing not for 2 days. We've been doing it for 3 years. Okay, I've been here longer than that. But again, this is what we're doing, and that's why I'm here. You have short squeeze stocks, go down the block. Good luck. Knock yourself out. You don't need to tell me about it. I appreciate the heads up about them going up, but I really have no interest in any of these stocks. All right, William, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to eat my dinner, and we'll speak tomorrow. All right?
Well, thanks for stopping by.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Bye. I was walking my dog and came in, and apparently I left my phone here on the charger, and apparently this call was scheduled for 7 o'clock. I did order, for those of you who I underperformed for, and I apologize for that, I did order what that gentleman recommended, a speaker, Bluetooth speaker. I ordered it. It should come tomorrow morning. The one I got, I think, was slightly more expensive, but it has a microphone, Bluetooth. When Ham calls, I can switch it, I think, to that speaker, put that speaker here, turn it up to 10, and blow the neighbors out of their apartment. And where is ocean sailing? I am a little stressed, ocean sailing. I'm not overwhelmed so much. I am a little stressed. I love walking my dog, but by the time I get home, I get frustrated because he is slower than a lawyer and slower than the World Bank. I love that he enjoys it, but as he's gotten into his dotage, there isn't a smell he can skip. So I had that. I've been thinking about this trade in Fngr. This was an encouraging call, but as we get closer and closer to next week, same thing could happen that happened last month or the month before, and people need to be cognizant of that. I did have a long conversation with a gentleman who's agreed to come on in some fashion on this call, and after speaking with him for about an hour, very intelligent guy, this problem is enormous, and it's trillions of dollars. And as the United States government tries to help people of all races, genders, creeds, and nationalities by flooding the system with trillions of dollars, these greedy bastards I gotta find the guy's name. Somebody put it up here. Here, I think it's this guy. These guys are making hundreds of billions of dollars and paying no taxes. I think that's the guy. I have to confirm that. But if it's the same guy, he owns 70% of the NASDAQ companies. This has to stop. And while they, being the big 1% greedy mofos, get us worried about tweets and et cetera, they're just robbing us blind. And it's depressing. So that's one thing, ocean sailing. And then when I come in here, I said, please let me just get this set up. No, come on, call in. So I also had to call in right at 7, but I couldn't get this all set up properly. And it does frustrate me that this computer doesn't quite do it. So I need to get a better setup. Those are my stresses. I do get frustrated. We've gone on now for 3 years, and all these humans who have been overtaken by evil gremlins do is sell, and they think it's okay. They think it's okay. Why? I guess we're not human. They can do it. It all belongs on their side of the table. So anyway, ocean sailing. I was thinking about that. I was also thinking about other things in my life, and life is an interesting experience. It hasn't happened to you yet, but there's a white line for a long time when you're young, and then it slowly starts going gray. And then all of a sudden it's a black line, and you're on the other side of it. And it just, things you think about are different. I don't know. It's just, I guess life is always like that. If you knew 100% how to handle things, it'd be a breeze, but nobody does. Let's see. Okay, one fix it, man. I'll show you what I bought if I can find it. Anyway, I'll have it tomorrow. I'll show it to you tomorrow. It's a Bose speaker that does Bluetooth, and I can put it right here, and I can play out. I can play out sheets of empty canvas, untouched sheets of clay, lay out before me like her body once did. Ooh. Well, now, not everybody can be as tall as you, Dos Equis. Can hardly hear him talking. I'm sorry, Mad Max. I will do my best from tomorrow to have a better speaker. Whoever made that suggestion right now, I'm forgetting who it was, the idea of a Bluetooth speaker. Once you have it, it's like, wow, that's a good idea. I never thought of it, but I'll have that tomorrow. I've also asked Ham to call in so he can just be a joint, but Ham is move now. Let's go now. Do it now. What are you waiting for? Let's get going. Let's make the call. Do it now. He's that kind of guy. I would like My Pillow. I bought some My Pillows. I didn't find them quite as superior. Well, that's not true. One of them was good. The other one wasn't quite as superior as he said. Hey, Abdul Razik. I'm really sorry. I bought a old book called, it's in the other room. I'm going to read it. It's by this historian Lewis, and it says something like Islam or the Middle East, what went wrong, but it's not about, it's not negative. It's just wondering what happened, because Islam, and I know this because I read the book by Cahill about the Irish. You know, during the Dark Ages, Ireland and Islam saved knowledge, while apparently Europe descended into the Dark Ages. And it's interesting because the sleeve of the book is talking about, for centuries, Islam, listing all the things in culture, science, everything. And then something's happened once the contact with Europe happened. Anyway, I'm going to read it. I just got it. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Abdul, how I mean, we can't talk about it because it's just too polarizing. But I hate seeing, if we just focus on children and babies, I hate seeing children and babies suffering and being killed, regardless of which soil they were born on. Thank you, Ocean. I'll get better. Very funny. It's as funny as it is obvious. Yeah, those. All right, let's see what this guy's saying. Corey Hayes, multiple brokers stating earnings will be announced tomorrow pre-market. Well, if my theory is correct, that'll give permission from the legal offices at Univest and Fngr Motion and maybe elsewhere. You can go do whatever y'all wanted to do. The Cliff Notes. The only Cliff I know is not anybody you know. So I can't make a joke that makes any sense. Schwab also has earnings release for Fngr tomorrow. Excelente. Arnulfo. Arnulfo. Gracias. Ari is implicated. Yes. He's in the MMTLP debacle. And apparently what these guys do, they use a group out of Chicago. They can create a non-sponsored ADR and then send one share to the UK markets and then turn around under Gary Gensler's nose and send millions of shares back in that don't exist. And apparently when you see the high volume days in stocks, that's when they're stuffing accounts with shares they've delivered from Germany that don't exist. Let's be clear, shares is the wrong word. Counterfeits that come in and then they fill the system and then they can sell them. And then this guy, Ari Rothstein, he owns the company that creates credit swaps. And that's something that I've always asked about. And I'd love to have this gentleman on because that to me was obviously what they were doing. And I was unable to get anyone to agree with me. But apparently they can, when there's a stock on the NASDAQ, they can create a false credit swap and he's overlooking it. And he's taking billions, hundreds, tens of billions of dollars out of the market without paying taxes. And I don't know why Jim Cramer defends it. I don't know why Congress defends it. I don't know. I guess I know why the newspapers and media defend it, because he owns them. He owns them. It's just horrible. Well, I have a friend who owns a cat named Spooky. Hey, Anil. Thank you, Stan. Appreciate it. Don't want to be negative, but you will be. Let's see what it says. Like all the other times there's been earnings, they will drop the price for Fngr. Yes, Jordan. I think that's right. I think regardless of what the last earnings report was excellent. I have it over there, but I can remember a couple of things about it. China was shut down for COVID for half of the quarter, and they drove revenues, pushed, I think was the word, pushed revenues to 12 million for the quarter. Their milestone was 10 million. To state it differently, their goal was 10 million. They pushed it to 12. And their revenues grew something like 600% from telecommunications. In the body of the report, Martin Shen mentioned that he expects, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, a much better quarter this quarter, and that positive, rolling to positive earnings could happen soon. So I expect earnings to be very good. But last time the earnings were good. So these sons of bitches will set their computers. They'll hit a button to sell. They'll try to convince you, Jordan, and the rest of us, that this is bad numbers. Oh no, you better dump out of the stock. And the idiots at the SEC will buy that these Wall Street Denzians who have decades of experience could be scared of a positive earnings report. But it works because no one is curious anymore. No one except for we happy few, we band of brothers. If any do not have stomach for this fight, let their passport be made. For on Crispian, from now until all time, I'm paraphrasing, gentlemen in England now abed shall hold their manhoods cheap, who weren't with us on Crispian. And now to the end of time, they shall roll their sleeves and say, these scars I had on Crispin's day. I can't go further, and I know that's all wrong. I think what's too big to ask is, I think both of those dogs need to be picked up and have their snouts snuggled, their ears played with, and their paws squeezed, not to hurt, but just to see how soft they are, their bellies rubbed, and then given a treat. What did Jordan say? Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, Jordan. They'll sell it. But Jordan, let's go back here. Jordan, the most important thing to me about the earnings coming out isn't what. Ignore what they say. They could say that Kim Kardashian got back with Kanye West, and they'll say, "Oh, it's bad news." Whatever it says, they're going to say it's bad news, and they're going to start to sell. It doesn't matter. But what matters? What matters, Jordan? It's going to if something is going on, it's going to the legal departments are going to say, "Hey, it's no longer a quiet period. Release the hounds." Keep your eye on the convertible. I like that. I wouldn't mind a convertible. Keep your eye on the ball. Stand back there and keep your eye on the ball. Kiefer Sutherland. Yes, the last part of the journey always seems to be the longest, and the fact is we don't even know if it'll be over with, but it feels like it, doesn't it? You're young. You're young. Don't pretend to be 39 like Jack Benny. Just I mean, it's that age is a weird age. When I went to Cairo for my friend's wedding, his father and his wife's father were younger than that, but we were young and we looked up to them as they're old. It's just age is a funny thing, but no, that's very young. I got to do the sort of do the arithmetic, but that would mean you were probably born. I don't know. You were probably born after the Beatles became popular. Now, I don't know about that, but you are, Abu. There's Sean Garcia. I agree. I love that picture. Is that Times Square? That is some styling and profiling. I like this car right here. I like that one too, but I like this one. It's a convertible. I'm only going to ask you nicely once. Now you can ask. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. Yeah, Bose, that's the one I got. There was a Sony, and I've always been partial to Sony, but I decided to go with the one with the microphone because even this lack of technical brain, I was wondering, well, how do you have a speaker and then you're using the microphone from the phone? I think it's better to have the microphone in the speaker so there's no echo. At least that was my theory, which is to say, it is all mine. It'll be bold and dynamic. That would be a description of perhaps of a he was tall, dark, handsome. She was bold, beautiful, and dynamic. As they entered the room, all heads turned. A beacon of light in the darkness. That's very nice, actually, Leisha. But just a second ago, I was thinking of telling this gentleman who was talking about the length of the journey. I was going to repeat, which I've said several times, that it's always darkest before it goes totally black. Ham doesn't like to sit still. Are Fngr earnings scheduled to be released during pre-market? I don't know if they're scheduled. I think two answers. One, if you go strictly from the date of June, I have it over here, but you can Google it. The last time they released earnings, I think it might have been either June 13th or June 15th. If you go 90 days, and remember one of the months has an extra day, I think Friday could be the when it comes out based on 90 days. The second thing I'll tell you, my understanding is Fngr has never missed a earnings deadline. So Monday should be it by the latest. I just hope if one uses your pillow, they don't absorb your jokes. Yeah, that would be nice. Just Roger, this group, Crappy Barra, they don't care anymore. They already did their job. They've been paid. They've probably moved on. To the extent that they're short the stock themselves, maybe they care. But I think they did their hit and run. There's tire tracks all over your back. I can see you had your fun. You're just like crosstown traffic. Oh, Ham was on the Twitter sphere last night. That's pretty cool. I didn't see it. Yeah, we have to change the world, but I was thinking about that a lot today for a different reason. But if you don't have, I had a manager that once told me, and I was very young, but he said your first 100,000 of capital in your account, it changes your life. Because once you have 100,000, you can make that grow to 1 million or whatever. I don't know. That was a long time ago. Maybe you need more now. But if we can just get one of these to work, we can start to change the world. I'm hitting the like. Oh, Frank, can you recap what I think Ham shared, what I think he shared was that shorts are starting to happen. I think one of them is Seco, Sam, Edward, Charlie, Oscar. That's what I think he said. Sam, Edward, Charlie, Oscar. And then one that Ocean Sailing shared. Tom, Paul, Sam, Tom. TPST. Both of those seem to be running. I think that was one of Ham's points. And then the other is he had a investor come on who heard from impeccable sources, according to that unnamed investor. But I can vouch for that guy. I recognized his voice. So a reliable source said that either Univest or someone very close to Univest purchased 1,000 of the $7 October calls today, earlier today. And they've been buying approximately 300 calls a day, something like that, for the last few days, October calls. That was, I think, the import of Ham's call. He had to tell us that he didn't really want to, he doesn't really follow other stocks, and that he had to get back to dinner and that, but that was it. Oh, you got to do it in the dryer. All right. All right, I'll send you a link. How do I do that? Invite. Send it by mail. I don't know the problem is I don't know your email. I don't think I have an email for you, Busy, but let me see. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't have an email for you. So when you can see it spinning, maybe you can't, but it's spinning up here. When my email gets live, there it is. I'll look up Busy, but I don't think I have you. No. No, I don't have it. So busy. I don't have an email. That's the only way I. Oh, here. You sent it to me. All right, let me get my glasses on. Busy. Dizzy, Mr. Busy. Dizzy, Mr. Busy. Okay, delete, 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 delete. I have a friend with the exact same name as you, the way you wrote it there. Okay. Oh, yes, I did have it. I might have already had it. I might have already had it because it sort of popped up. So, hey, guess what, guys? I applied today to become a billionaire. I bought Powerball today. So there's a chance I'll be a billionaire the next time you talk to me. Well, I think that's the right approach, Moody. But remember, George Soros made his money on the pound. Obviously, he was making money all along, but it can happen. You can have a trade that changes your life. I don't know if I want to put this up. I'm not gonna comment there. I am sailing far away. I'm sailing. All right, so far away. Why is it echoing like that?
Oh yeah, it was. I'm sorry.
I don't want to hear my voice. Good Lord.
All right.
So
Good.
here's Busy.
All right. So yeah, that's what you should do with Ham instead of putting him on the damn speakerphone.
I know.
How does it
I
sound,
bought
guys?
a speaker too, but I agree with you. That's what I should do.
Does it sound better?
You sound great. Why don't you talk a little bit? Why don't you talk about whatever comes to mind?
I don't have anything to say. I just wanted you to test it out, but you should definitely send the link out next time, and we should definitely get Ham like this instead of just on the speakerphone, because we're having a hard problem listening, and some of us have to turn up the volume really loud. So I'm glad that it's working for you.
I'll at between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. tomorrow at delivery to my door, I'm going to have a speaker. So if Ham calls in, I won't have to use my phone anymore, and that'll work very well. But if I can train him to do this, this is much better. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. What is it? I'm trying to look on your screen to see if the name doesn't come up, huh?
You're over here. You're over here on the side. I need to get a label for you.
Let me see. I'm just testing this thing out.
I know. I love it. I'm glad you're testing it. Here's Sada Aman. Peace to you, Sada Aman. I know Islam is peace. I know it is. And I hope there's peace soon in the world.
How many screens can you get on here, William? Is it just 2, or you can?
I can get how many people? I think I can get 6 or 10, and I can do it this way. I can do it this way. I signed up for one of their plans, and So anyway, whatever it is, it might be a dozen. I think it's 10 is what I can get on there. And then I bought an extra monitor. I just don't know how to set it up, because if I split screens or something, they say no, share. If I share my screen, it's better if I have a separate monitor, but I don't know how to plug it in. So we'll get there.
Is the link that you sent me, would that be the same link for everyone else?
Yeah, for now, as long as I'm live. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently each live, it's a new link.
It's a new link. Okay, I got you. All right, give me a second. Let me try something out. Let's get a party started in here.
Let's get a party started. Henry the Fourth? Yeah. Westmoreland. I forget the rest. Exeter. We few, too few to share our glory. I can't remember. I'll look it up. We are a band of brothers, absolutely, and sisters, but that's the English language. What amount would be considered blowout? Martin, I think you got to look at the revenues. You actually got to look at the revenues. But I'll tell you what would blow it out is if there's actually earnings. My opinion is positive earnings come next quarter. It's just opinion, instinct. But if they have positive earnings this quarter, that would be a blowout. But I think revenues, I'm going to take a guess. If they're 13, 14 million, maybe 15 million, it's just going to be incredible, you know? And it should, because as they're buying minutes and rolling those minutes, the more minutes they can buy, the more revenue they can do. And it kind of feeds on itself, you know? I was my son and his friend's goalie. No. Okay, so for all you naysayers, look at the chart up top, which I tried to download to show you, but my skills betrayed me and I was unable to save it here. I might be able to go. Anyway, let's just go with what you're saying. It opened at $7 and it was $2.50 in the aftermarket. But more than that, on that chart up top, it had this sort of discouraging downturn. And then it ran. It went from, I think, if it's the same one, I think it went from 7 to 24 on a lot of volume. And then the next day opened at 60 and it boogied. That was Henry the Fourth. I didn't have to memorize Shakespeare in school, but I had a friend at Merrill Lynch who is married to a wonderful woman, and he went to Catholic University, and he fell in love with this woman. He saw her. I think he ran into her at a bookstore or at, somewhere. Anyway, he knew she was taking this literature class, so he joined it because he wanted to get to know her. And so he memorized that, and he could say it. He was amazing. He could just say the whole thing. So when I memorized it, but it's so long ago, and I didn't memorize it. When I was really young, I was probably 23 or something, and anyway, he married her. So he went up to her and quoted Shakespeare, and she fell in love, and they stayed in love. What is this? This is bad news. I don't know what you're talking about. Universe did that. It was a good day for Fngr, Dennis. It was a good day for Fngr. By closing above 6 with some volume at the end. Being MMTL, Fngr, GTI, and Bed Bath & Bond. Oh, maybe Anna's coming on? I don't know. Busy, do I have to do something, send an invite? I don't see anyone joining.
Well, I don't know. She hasn't texted me. It's does Anna want to come on? I'm sending some invites, but I was trying to get a hold of Ham so we could test it out with him.
Yeah, Ham. That'd be great.
Is Anna asking to get on?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anna just texted me, but I don't know.
What did she say? Anna, you want to come on? I'll send you the link.
It maybe. Oh no, she sent it to Ham and me. It's a call to action. Proof the U.S. financial markets are full of counterfeit shares. Congress must act. TPST is working on a cure for liver cancer. How is this possible? 171 million shares traded today. And this is what this gentleman was explaining to me. When it gets that high volume, it's partly because they're stuffing our system with counterfeits from overseas. They have to have stock here before they sell it. It's all counterfeit. And oh, you were born in '67, so it was after the Beatles. That's when they broke up. By the time I had any chest hair, it was white. I started going gray pretty young, but someone told me back then, if it grays, it stays. How do you disprove that? How do you disprove it? I know it's not true because I used to have more hair. Oh, I like that idea, but I don't think Lucky will be around that long. But when I first got Lucky, I'll never forget it. I took him. He came to my house, but then I was going on a trip, and I put him in the front seat, and I thought he was excited, but in retrospect, he was just anxious that I was taking him back to the pound. The dividend was put out to trap the system. Which one will run first? Well, obviously, the chicken will run first. The egg will roll. Yeah, I'd like a Beamer. I don't know. I'll tell you guys, we live, I don't know if any of you know James Howard Kunstler. I read his novels, which are more about describing the world that we are going to have. But I also read, oh gosh, at least one, but it might be 3 of his books. I can't remember now how many he wrote. And I also used to listen to him and read his website. He lives in upstate New York. But one of the observations he made is in the future, people are not going to understand being in an automobile and being able to drive at 80 miles an hour. It's just not going to be there unless we come up with another technology. But EV isn't going to do it. What is really interesting, and I want to study that, I want to make some money first, but I used to speak with Matt Simmons, and he was a Republican investment banker. He was a great man. He was born on April 7th. The reason I know that is it's the same day as my father. But he was the Mick Jagger of the peak oil discussion. And what was my point on that? Oh, what he was doing up off of Maine before he died at age 63, I think, in a hot tub. He had a heart attack. I wonder, because he was being vocal on the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Do you remember the deep water oil spill that British Petroleum deposited on the colonies? Anyway, the technology he was working on, and I'd love to go see his daughter. I think his daughter took over. These windmills off the coast of New England, during the summer, they provide electricity for air conditioning, but in the winter, there's not a lot of purpose. So when you're creating I'm trying to remember all the terms. I can't remember them all. But when you create the wind with the electricity, you can split water, the seawater, into ammonia and water, and I think some other things. But that ammonia is almost and maybe better than gasoline in driving cars, and it's nearly endless, and the waste product is water. I'd love to learn more about that. Anyway, the other day, it caught my eye. Toyota is creating an engine, an internal combustion engine. I don't know if that's what they call it, but an engine based on ammonia. And that is probably the future of automobiles, ammonia. Yeah, Lucky's asleep down here.
Hey, William, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you look at the studio and let Big JR in?
Is this Ace is the place?
I believe Ace is going to join also.
And Big JR, that's frightening. Big JR has a sense of humor like his buddy. And here, let's see if it's Ace is the place of the helpful.
It's me. I'm driving.
Driving everyone crazy. I don't see.
Hey, William.
Hey, how are you?
I'm going well. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for joining.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This is the other JR, by the way.
Oh, it's the other JR.
Big JR. Yeah, not the not legal JR.
All right. And Not Legal Advice has joined, but now he's disappeared.
I'm back. I think
He's
lost it for a second.
Yeah, I think he's got to come back in. I don't know why. Maybe it's something. Sorry, Not Legal Advice. Try again. Hey, Ace, why don't you pick a topic other than well, you can pick it if it's the 49ers. I don't care.
I mean, we're looking pretty good. Not as good as Djokovic yet, but we'll get there.
Hey, you know what happened to Djokovic? Here, I got to get Not Legal Advice added to the stage. It's gone into slow-mo. What happened to Ace? Where's Ace? Anyway, so Big JR's here. Busy Brands and Not Legal Advice. But where's Ace?
Actually, this is not legal advice.
This isn't Not Legal Advice?
No, it's not.
Not. So Ace, I don't know if it's my computer, but I do want you back. And is Big JR, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me?
Anyway, what happened with Djokovic is Carlos Alcaraz lost. So Djokovic can remain number one until he gets to 400 weeks. not legal advice. Do you have any breaking news?
Let me think. Nope.
There,
I can make some up. You know what?
Everybody's being shy today.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Just write this down. It's 5:04 Pacific time. The real truth is that Busy Brands is his real name.
not dizzy. Not dizzy. It's
And
hard
it's one
to
word.
tell.
It's
I
one
have-
word. By the way, it's like Prince. It's Busy Brands. That's one
For the
word.
audience, it's hard to tell which one is busy and which one is Big JR.
They do look alike.
So,
Yeah.
so let me ask you a question, Richard. How can he get our name on the screen, the banner?
I think if he takes a crayon out and he,
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
good.
Yeah, I
It
somehow
shows down here. It doesn't show up here.
for
And
some reason on because I use the same thing, StreamYard, and for some reason I don't remember if it was accidental. It may have been accidental. Accidentally, I might have triggered it so it picks up the name, but I have no idea how it happened.
maybe it's
What?
on settings.
Maybe it's a making a statement about the people, and if they're not sufficiently interesting, they don't print the name. Isn't that possible?
Group layout.
Yeah,
Crop
I
solo.
definitely got to get your new jokes, Richard.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's a joke, son. That's a joke.
Oh, I didn't. It didn't grab me. So
I realized that, by the way. I saw that.
And as I've come to know you, I think it's no reflection on my mental abilities if I do not find your jokes funny.
I actually
Take care.
agree, but you wouldn't be happy for the reason I agree. By the way,
I see you there. I'm scared to click on you because I don't want to drop you. So, do you know?
We're testing it out. Just go ahead.
I think you
click
could do
on
10. I think you could do 10 people.
Yeah, that's what I signed up for. All right, I'm going to add swing, but if someone drops out, because I lost ace.
I got kicked off once too. I just kind of came back.
Here comes swing and Big JR. Maybe you can lead the topic with something on your mind, or start something. Hang on a second for swing.
What's going on, guys?
There we go. There's 5. So maybe ace dropped out because he was driving.
Yeah, no, he said he was booted, so I'm trying to get him back on. But
It'd be nice if he came back on.
Did you know, by the way, William, that architects are good at coming up with concrete plans?
It's painful.
It's painful for me. It's painful for me too, by the way.
I have a better one.
Wait, good night. Thinking of these?
I have a better one. Can you guys hear me?
That's
Yeah.
not hard. That's not an accomplishment.
Big
by the way.
JR is speaking. He's this guy over here, next to Lucky.
So the breaking news, Richard, is that 2 peanuts were walking down the street. One was assaulted.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, it's painful. It is
Well, I
just-
gotta, so I can talk a little bit about the dividend for people. I know there's a lot of confusion about it for GTII real quick.
That'd be great.
And by the
Okay.
way, I'm happy to sue Fidelity
So
if
I
anybody
was-
wants me to.
All right, there we go. So essentially, I was thinking this week, we all thought it might have been Monday that was going to be the date, right, for the dividends to become live, to become unrestricted in the accounts based upon the GTII website blurb or PR they put out on the website. And we figured out today that it was the 29th, actually, October 29th. But I was thinking to myself, last time we had all kinds of problems with warrants and everything. We had brokers trying to pull all kinds of stuff. So I thought, I'm going to call in to Fidelity. I have multiple accounts, but Fidelity is one. So I called into them and I spoke to the restricted securities people there. And that's where I found out that you have to actually call Fidelity to that. And I posted it. It's on my Twitter. speak with them and tell them that you want the dividends unrestricted. And they mentioned to me that they are just the shares or the CUSIP number that we're seeing in our account is just a placeholder. So we do not have actual shares in the account at Fidelity, which is not surprising to me at all.
That's the MMTLP
they have to,
scenario.
Exactly.
correct. Yeah. So I'm sure it's similar in the other ones. Some of them may have gotten real shares at some point. I'm not sure how the intricacies of that actually work, but I was able to put myself on the list to get those released, I guess, into my account. And then they said, well, we don't, the man I talked to said he doesn't know for sure. And this was yesterday. He didn't know for sure if I would be able to actually trade them once they were in my account. And I asked why. And then that led to me giving all of this information this morning. I got it to Wes and the CEO, et cetera, so that they could have all this information of what they're starting to try to say, so that they could maybe come out in front, which they did very quickly with the PR, luckily, explaining that they're going to try to get everything set up for us so that we don't have to pay any fees, or we don't have to go through multiple hoops if possible. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know that they got that PR out pretty quick. So no one needs to call Liberty Stock Transfer right now because they can't do anything. We're waiting on the legal team to get together and figure out a way to help us get because they're saying there's some sort of issue that GTII had, this is Fidelity, had with legally last October, November.
Dividend, the warrant as a dividend.
Right. So they had some kind of conflict with GTII. Therefore, they're not going to allow us to trade them. They said that we can move them to a different platform. They will help us move them to a different platform. And again, I don't know if this can change or not if legal gets involved, but that's how it kind of sits right now. So we have until October 29th. So I just thought in my head just a couple of days ago, I thought we're going to have to get out in front of this because we haven't heard anything yet. And I know for a fact that they're going to try whatever they can. And I was right, unfortunately. So that's why I wanted to kind of put stuff out. And I put out information on my Twitter, the numbers to call. I will tell people too, if you call your broker, do not do live chat. Just don't do it. It's a waste of time. I'm sure they're good people, but they have no clue as to what's going on. They'll type your question in and it'll come up with some options, some standard options. They're going to read those to you. Don't call regular customer service and speak to one of them. You can call customer service and ask to speak to someone in the restricted securities department. If you can, if they have, I'm sure they have that department and someone you can talk to. I would not call just the average person answer the phone. They're going to have no clue, and you're going to get 20 different answers, just like we did before with everything else when we've ever tried to do that. So if anyone wants to call their broker, we're hearing different things. TD said something about they want to charge $250 or some amount of money to do this, and there really shouldn't be a fee. I don't think so. I think that's getting worked on. So just want to let everybody know: don't call Liberty Stock Transfer. It's being worked on, and hopefully we can find a way. They said something about Richard. They said something about Rule 1933, which relates to basically, ironically, Rule 144 and unrestricted and unrestricted shares or shares, unregistered securities, blah, 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 blah. So, which is very ironic because that's how GTI got into the whole issue in the first place with having, a naked short position. So they want to follow the rules with that. They just don't want to follow it with everything else.
Well, and it might be, and the Harvard graduate there might know better, but I think it means that Fidelity doesn't want to commit fraud.
I would say I don't concur with that conclusion. I was going to say, as Big JR was talking, that when I first opened my Fidelity account, I heard from people in general about the reputableness of Fidelity. And because they have a lot of money and a lot of clients, they do a big business. And people came with that approach. And as I continued to deal with them, starting with MMTLP, my I didn't hear that, by the way, Bill. My opinion of them changed. And as I thought about, and they've pulled all kinds of nonsense. In my opinion, maybe they're, it's in essence, can you be technically correct and be a pain in the butt? You could, but can you also be do business in a fair and reasonable manner? You could do that too. And I determined that I don't think they're, in my opinion. So this is obviously not legal advice. My opinion. Don't believe and don't trust anything I say. But in my dealings with Fidelity, I began to question a lot of things about them. First thing, it's a private company. So we don't see any books, any balance sheets. We see nothing. They're kind of operating in obscurity. Then number two, the head of Fidelity, Abigail Johnson, might be the wealthiest woman in the United States, estimated to be worth $35 billion. So we have a hidden company with family wealth beyond acceptable amounts and beyond trustworthy amounts, because they've acted in an untrustworthy way. So I'm not too comfortable with them. So I thought, obviously, I have an arbitration against Fidelity involving MMTLP, but I also have, as JR was talking, I was thinking, well, I also have GTII stock. So could I nudge the attorney who's on the other side and complain about GTII tomorrow? I could do that too. I don't know if it'll be helpful to anybody, but I certainly am willing to complain to somebody who's actively involved in litigation with me.
I think that would be good if you could.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff Rode, I think you nailed it. I believe my setting on my computer was internal mic rather than my Yeti mic. So you might have it, Jeff. I appreciate that. So in the future, guys, I think Ham's calls will be well heard. I apologize. That was my technical mistake.
I noted also, because I did it for a while, is my setting on my computer sound would be low, and my setting on my StreamYard sound would be correct, but it would still only pick up the low sound on the computer. It wouldn't be adjusted by the change. I'm sure that's really interesting for everybody else.
It is fascinating.
And Richard, we had, I don't know when you got into GTII, but last year, right about the same time.
Last week.
Oh, you're a newbie. Okay, good. Well, I'll start the story from the beginning. I'm not going to do as good of a job as Ham. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But so last October, last October, Fidelity was the one that was calling around like they are for Fngr. They were looking for shares of GTII. They were calling big shareholders, and they were wanting to lend out their shares because they were so tight on shares. And I had no idea that Fidelity was a private company, but it seems to be that we just keep coming back to them being in the middle of all this stuff all the time.
Yeah,
that's all I was going to say.
I'm over 6 foot tall, and nobody's called me, so that's the way it goes.
God,
I'm 6'5". That's why they call me the big JR.
Yeah,
your house must be full of groans.
Yeah, my kids moved away for that reason.
Hey, William, check your studio. I think.
All right, I'll check.
JR is coming in.
By the way, since you mentioned Abigail Johnson, you know that women in the United States control more money than men, and that's not a pun. That's true. Women have more money in the United States than men. Of course, men don't live as long, I suppose.
Could be.
Share my screen and pull up a PDF. Yeah, that's risky. That is risky. I could try that, but I think we'll just keep talking. Swing, do you want to add anything since?
Well, I just wanted to say hello, guys, and I thought I'd give you guys a little corny joke myself. What do you call a reluctant potato?
A spud?
A hesitator.
Okay.
I like it.
It qualifies.
Oh
Qualifies.
boy.
I thought of one when this one, let's see, there's one of these comments made me think of one I've used before. So if you've heard it, then it's not funny. Did you hear about the constipated mathematician?
No.
No.
He had to work it out with a pencil.
Oh no.
My God.
Oh God, I'll try mine. I'll try one since everybody's doing it. By the way, JR is waiting in the studio. He said,
That's
All right,
hilarious.
there's JR. Add him.
okay, why don't clowns invest their money in the stock market?
Because they're bozos.
Because they'll be the laughing stock.
You know, by the way,
Ah,
I met my wife on a dating site. We just clicked.
Oh, God.
It figures that I come on for all the stupid jokes.
Yeah.
Appropriate. It's appropriate, I think.
I think William gets first place, so that was awesome. That was funny.
that was my father's joke. My father always had, for a successful, intelligent guy, he had scatological humor.
Hey, did you guys happen to watch TPST today? Tango Papa Sierra Tango?
Yes.
Yeah, Ocean
we not?
Sailing
Yes.
brought that up. What do you think about it? Tell us about it.
I mean, it only had 13.2 million shares available, but it ended up trading 175 million shares today.
That's amazing.
I
Isn't that
thought, I would think, it was interesting to put it in perspective what their advancement was, to kind of reflect in the future what you have to accomplish to get a stock to run like that. So it increased the life expectancy. So it's a common form of liver cancer. So it's most people would get this form, and it basically extended life expectancy from, let's say, 4.5 months to 7.5 months, something like that. So not a huge, I'm sure if you're in that position, that's a huge amount, but looking at it's not a huge amount, but that advancement made that much of an impact on that stock. It's pretty amazing.
Well, it's not only that. So if you read the filings on Edgar today, they have a poison pill option that it was
Who
done.
reads filings, by the way?
I did, and I really liked it. So basically, it was a poison pill that, I mean, I was looking at this last night, and it ran 300 something percent after hours. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Started digging, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Ironic, there's somebody else that had mentioned that they've got a poison pill plan in the near future, and it was posted May of.
Yeah, I saw it. They called it a shareholders' rights agreement.
That's correct.
Yeah, I saw that. Basically telling the shareholders, we're going to do everything we can to make sure we get you value out of the stock.
Well, they ironically enough, kind of tying back into MMTLP, they provide for every 1,000 shares of TPST that you own, you get basically a Series A preferred share for $25.
But unfortunately, it's of MMTLP. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's why we need you, Richard, and
Was
you,
that
Mark.
announced?
So,
Well, I'm buying more.
yeah, exactly.
How the hell did they do that, Richard? It's amazing.
I don't know. Somebody was posting top. I think it was not top. TPST, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Tom, Paul, Sam, Tom.
Yeah, but it was only up 4,000% at one point. It ran from 30 something cents to 11.50.
Yeah, that's what I was questioning William about earlier. I just asked him politely, why can't he make Fngr move like that tomorrow morning, pre-market? I didn't think that was really asking a lot.
I'm not a securities attorney like you are, and I'm not.
Whoa.
No. I'm close. I'm close to getting Social Security. That's about all.
Yeah, he is not a securities attorney.
Well, all right. I'm not an attorney, but I believe one of the delays, this is my opinion, in whatever is coming via Univest or their investors or big institutional investors, possibly is they're waiting for the bubble of the quiet period of earnings to finish. And I think the lawyers in the background said, wait. So the biggest thing about the earnings, I think, is they're going to unleash the hounds.
Yeah, I didn't know when they're going to do it, but I always thought that, especially if they had good pre-market earnings, I always thought that would have been a good time to attack myself.
Up
or
or down.
For Univest to attack.
Oh yeah. But the bad guys are going to try to sell. I don't know that they'll be effective. So we're basically watching Godzilla versus King Kong, the Wall Street Sharks versus the Wall Street Shorts, and we're just watching.
Well, we're going to have a blowout. I mean, if it's going to do it, I believe we will have a blowout volume day. And it's not going to be, like 5 million. It'll be 40 million. And I know that's tomorrow. Yeah. So little JR is predicting that tomorrow. I just heard him.
Stop calling me little JR.
No, we're distinguishing. Actually, Big JR is here, and he called himself.
This guy
Big JR.
right here is Big JR.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put the labels on.
Mr. JR.
Yeah. So did we determine when earnings are? I've seen so many different dates with it. I was just curious.
I might be able to tell you. You can Google it, but the 90 days ago they came out, and I think it was either June 15th or 13th. So that would be Friday to me if you allow for one of the months having 31 days.
Not to get off topic, I was thinking about this tonight in the car on the way home. We should do a FOIA. We should do a FOIA on the 18 people that were named in that short report and see if the SEC or Fngr has been talking about those people.
Oh, I like that.
Everybody's talking at me. I would join Busy Brand's lawsuit, although since I'm now such a impotent person, I might not qualify.
Richard, William, don't talk
I'm
about
joking.
that. It makes Richard upset.
I don't know if I'm a public figure or not, but I'd like to sue those bastards. Trying to find the earnings from here it is. Here's
One
the
person
earnings
says-
from
TD
last
says it's the 16th.
July. It was July 14th. So 90 days from that.
So I just looked at
October 13th.
I'm just looked at Yahoo Finance and 3 other platforms. It's anywhere between the 16th and the 20th.
So it's going to be Monday. I hope it's not the 20th for people that own calls.
TD is showing tomorrow.
One I didn't look at.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, TD on my Thinkorswim platform, it shows the 12th.
Okay.
See, Big JR here. Can you read that? I don't know if you see that message, but here's somebody that called Schwab. They didn't know anything about it, which
I can see it.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, right. That's why in the back of my head, I thought, we need to get something out there and start calling, because they're not gonna know about it. They're gonna say they don't know about it. I mean, I had a feeling, so that's why I started that whole process. And Wes and like I said, Wes and the CEO all have the information. I've actually forwarded a call from one of the shareholders at Fidelity over to Wes, so he has that, so he could hear exactly what they said, so that he can get together with his team to develop whatever plan to help us out. So that's in process, so everyone knows. But in terms of earnings, last time there was an earnings that I was interested in, the date kept changing on one of the apps, and someone mentioned to me, who used to be a trader, said that they were basically an estimate, so that you may get different numbers because some of them may just be estimating the time that they expect the earnings to come out based upon previous earnings announcements in terms of time frames. So I haven't heard anything about a concrete day, but I see the 12th, I see the 16th, I see the same thing everyone else is seeing. So I don't think we really know.
And the finger motion site doesn't say.
Well, they've never been late. So 90 days from July 14th is whatever it is. Maybe. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. I'm wondering what the next topic is. My brain froze.
It's okay. Can we
Big
try to help
JR.
you to figure out to put the names on the screen? Richard, can you try to help them?
I have no idea. Does JR know how to do it? The names?
It might be in the banners. I'll set it.
Oh, yeah, it could be in the banners.
But
I don't know how to do it.
I think I have to. Oh, over here. That's over here. Banners.
On your right, yeah, your right column. We can't see it, but on your
Or
right
it could
column.
be brand.
Just start clicking on shit, William.
I know. Relax, everyone. Relax, everyone. Video backgrounds are now supported. Bubbles dark. Bubbles. Meet my niece, Bubbles. Remember that from Back to School?
No.
No.
My niece. Nobody's.
Hey, J.R. Ewing. J.R.
What's
Ewing,
up?
can you take one of those pretzels and put it up in the corner for me? See if you can reach me.
These are good. Good pretzel crack. It's got butter and
They
brown
sound
sugar.
good, yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm hungry. Put it up in the corner.
Music.
Put it up in the corner of the screen so I can see if I can grab one.
In honor of busy brands, I used to hate facial
Look at all
hair.
that goodness
Oh.
on there, Big JR.
Oh, I love it.
I gotta stop eating them.
It was Richard.
I'm just messing with you. They sound good. What's the brand? What brand was that?
They're homemade. We had some guys over this weekend playing poker, and he brings them over every time we play.
Dang,
It's
nice.
I think it's his great grandma's recipe. It's good stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
But they're addictive. You can't stop eating.
I have the button saying show display names, but it doesn't seem to. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. Let's fix that later.
I want Ace.
Ace is
Ace
played.
said
I
that,
wanted him too, but I didn't kick him off, and Swing left. It was fun having Swing.
Yeah,
No,
I blame.
Oh, is that
I
who that
blame
was? I
busy.
didn't know who that was.
Ace said that he'll be on if
Yeah, I
we're
know
still
the
after
names.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
He was driving on the road, so it kept on dropping on him. So he said if we're on after 6, yeah, he'll get on with us. So I'm gonna try to see if I can reach Ham so we can test it with him.
Brandon Boyle.
I agree with Mark. We need a woman's touch.
I won't say it. I'll keep it to myself. Keep it myself. What were you talking about before this catastrophe?
We were talking about the GTII dividend. I think topics that might be interesting are MMTLP in terms of what I've done the last couple of days, and I want to do more. I'm going to try to have guests because of Busy's kind help that show that NextBridge is valuable. But I also want, the other issue is, will the system pay the value for the people for MMTLP? And anyway, that's one topic. Fngr is a topic. None of us really know when the earnings are coming, but I guess none of us have anything to really say about Fngr, so it's hard to have a conversation.
Yeah, it seems to me like the earnings is kind of the holdup at this point in time. Good or bad, I just think that people are waiting, or at least it appears that maybe again, we try to believe like we can predict when something's going to happen when obviously we can't. So it might again happen when we're least expecting it as opposed to when we're most expecting it. So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen a day before earnings. Maybe it'll happen a day after earnings. We don't know. Although JR might know.
No. I mean, I'm at a point where Richard and I talk about this stuff every day. It's the wait and see approach. I got used to it with starting back in last July with the S1s. You S1, you wait. Amendment, you wait. So, it's a process. That's all. It's a process. There's a lot of time in between all these things, and just have to be patient.
JR and I have spent the same amount of time on Fngr as Ham has, minus 6,000 days.
Did I just fix it?
That's it.
You did.
Good
You
job.
did. It's a miracle.
Got it.
Job, William.
Damn, this thing doesn't have round of applause. Holy shit.
I did that for KYP.
Congratulations. That really is well done. Well done, William.
Well, it was nothing. Doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Richard,
William, I got to
Richard? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Big Jarvis. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask Richard if he thinks that what William said about not being able to do any type of legal recourse because he's a public figure. Do you feel the same about that? But JR too. What do you feel about that being a possibility for?
I think William was watching our video. I think that's what happened. No, yeah. So in defamation, slander, if you're a public figure, you have to prove malicious intent. So it makes it more difficult to prove up a case. And the question is, what is a public figure? So as a guy on...
And what's malicious intent?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we talk about what the public figure is. And is William a guy with like 300,000 subscribers? Is he a public figure? Yeah, probably at 300,000 subscribers, I'd say yeah. So, but I don't know where that number is, where you come from not a public figure to a public figure. JR and I were talking about this.
It's a gray line.
Yeah, we don't know really what it's going to be. What happens if someone has, I'm just making it up. What happens if someone has 10,000 subscribers, but their videos get 200 views, and somebody else has 2,000 subscribers and gets 2,000 views? How would you decide who's? But anyway, so that issue though is a big issue because proving intent is always difficult, notwithstanding whatever the case is. So that's what I think William was alluding to.
I tend to take a more pragmatic approach to this. And Richard and I actually haven't talked about this. We focused on kind of the intent versus no intent needed versus not intent needed. But I mean, I take a more, reserved look or approach. I mean, the whole point of the short report was to, drive the stock down, get people to sell. I think they put those names in there to do nothing more than to piss you guys off. I mean, that's the bottom line. And if that was the case, showing them you're pissed off by filing some type of legal action, I don't know what the right course is. I know in my mind, if my name would have been on there, I for all intents and purposes, and I'm not going to curse, but I think you all know what I would have said publicly, F them, and been done with it. But I understand where, the folks that are taking legal action are coming from. It, flip a coin. I just tend to think that the point of that was for them to say nothing more than, we think this is a pump and dump, and here are the people that we think. And the more names they threw in there, the better it looks for them. And they took a shot. So, I mean, not every action needs to have a legal reaction. So, but all of you have to decide that individually.
Yeah. And
that's my take on it.
Yeah. And there's the other part about kind of from a pragmatic standpoint. So it came out, it was rejected, because that's what happened if you watch the stock kind of come back over the next 2 days. So it basically rejected the report. So at that point in time, and JR and I were not lucky enough to be on the top 18. We got neglected. But if you're one of the top 18, like William, who is much bigger than us, obviously, much more important, he's the big man on campus, obviously. If you're a guy like that and time has passed and nothing has been advanced to worsen that situation? Do you want to bring it back up and try to vindicate yourself, or do you want to just let it die? You know, that's another consideration. And you might be right. You know, you might be right, but sometimes from a practical standpoint, it may not be beneficial.
All I know is I think these guys hit and ran. They don't care
Sure
anymore.
they did. Yeah, they're long gone. They're long
I
gone.
want to chime in here because I disagree with you, JR. You know, it's irresponsible for TD Ameritrade or any brokerage company that would have that in their newsfeed. I mean, are you telling me that, let's just say William or Ham can write a report saying that this thing is going to go to 2,000 and then they'll put it in their newsfeed? So at some point, they need to be held accountable.
You mistaken what I said. I'm not suggesting TD Ameritrade shouldn't be held accountable for not double checking and triple checking the data before they put it out there. What I'm saying is this cap or whatever the hell their name is, I don't even remember anymore.
Crappy Bear.
You know, there you go. I'm just saying that I take a more pragmatic approach. That's all. I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, right way or wrong way to do things, Busy. That's just my approach.
You're wrong, JR. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, I'm just kidding. Just to be upfront. So I'm at this point, as of this moment, it's again, just so we're clear, 5:40 p.m. Pacific Coast time. I represent Busy Brands against Kakabera, TD Ameritrade, and Benzinga. So, which is, I sent a letter out saying you guys are bad and do a bunch of stuff and whatever. That was a summary of the letter. I sent it to Capybara, but I never expect to hear back from them. And there might be all kinds of reasons you might send something to TD Ameritrade besides you want them to give you relief, but you may want to discourage them from doing it in the future. You might want them at least just to reflect on things, if nothing else. So there may be multiple reasons why you might take action. And I'm just talking about, we're at a point where I sent a letter out. I think Busy Brands, again, his real name, I think he posted it, so it's a public record. So, I'm not saying anything that's not known, but yeah, you might treat it differently depending on who it is and depending on what you're trying to accomplish and etc.
Busy Brands isn't his real name?
No, it is his real name.
Busy. What I'm saying is, when I was in law school, there were two things that were hammered into us. One, you've heard me say multiple times, Richard, close your ears. A lawyer that represents themselves as a fool for a client. Okay. The other thing is you never win lawsuits that are filed under principle. So
say that again.
You never win
filed
a lawsuit
under principle.
Filed on principle.
Okay, on principle, yeah. Okay.
On principle. You're doing it for the principle of it. So, that was beat into my head. So that's just my thinking. I'm not suggesting I'm right or wrong. Obviously, you're represented by Richard. He's an okay lawyer.
When I was in law school, what I remember is they said, I had one professor saying, and it stuck me till today. He said, the top of the class, you guys will do really well. The bottom of the class, you guys will become judges.
What they say about the middle of the class, that's not where I was at.
The rest will be professors.
Yeah. But JR, and I see the Arcus here. Welcome, Marco. It cost the company $150 million in a decrease in their market cap. What are you guys' thoughts of that legal realm with what Brazil's doing and going after them?
That's different in my mind. Okay.
Thanks, Frank, by the way. Thank you.
I absolutely think the company did exactly what I would have wanted them to do. They, responded immediately and hired a lawyer. So.
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I think in a live stream, we said, this is what we would do. We'd give them a day and then we'd go after them. And that's what exactly they did. So I think they acted in direct conformity of what we would have done.
Yeah. I mean, that's all. And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just, your approach. That's all.
I want to hear Arca's Gaussian bands. So please.
What is up, you guys? Can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you clearly.
Perfect.
He's like the announcer. Why don't you introduce us all, Arca?
I wish you could teach me. I could put up charts, but they would never measure up to your chart.
Yeah,
So-
I second that, Arca. Let's see you introduce all of us, because you got that radio voice.
Busy Brands Radio. It sounds like radio, because I'm actually going through the setup right now. I'm going through the actual desk, right? The studio. I'm not using my phone. So you're getting this direct feed from a preamp into an interface, so it sounds pro, right? Just like it does in the live streams and in the videos. So this is the first time I've been able to use that gear within a live stream. So I'm very excited to. I can hear myself too, right, through my headphones, so it sounds
Can
clean.
you play Britney Spears?
We're gonna get demonetized, William. We can't do that.
I was thinking, if you look at the names, it looks like a bunch of professional wrestling names.
Big JR.
That's how you need to introduce us, Arca. Like we're a wrestling team.
What are we gonna call it? You know, that name, it has to be sellable.
Ad lib.
Ad lib. There we go.
That's what Richard does every day.
You just freestyle it? You just wing it?
Oh yeah.
Nice, man. So yeah, guys, thank you for having me on. What are we talking about?
We were talking about Arca. We were wondering what's with Arca. That was most of the discussion. We stopped as soon as you came on, but if you want to pick up the discussion, go for it.
We're wondering what your charts say about MMTLP.
Well, TradingView doesn't allow me to see that anymore.
What's the show today?
Yeah.
I have to admit, I see on Twitter every day what the price target is.
Yeah, and oh man, I dedicated an area in my Discord channel for the MMTLP community, and per request, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, right? But I tend to not crack jokes at that so much because I feel just so terrible, man, over what happened.
That's
right?
Didn't you see MMTLP was up today?
Early on, I think shortly after the U3 halt, someone asked me if I can go back into the charts, because I was doing some light charting behind MMTLP, but I would not really chart that because I felt that the play was within MMAT, which we ended up bagging a pretty nice gain on that. But MMTLP had the short FINRA reportings in the TradingView software, so I tried to pull that up again, and it was all just gone. I couldn't actually see that, so I couldn't contribute my part. I'm like, man, what am I going to do from here? I don't even have videos on MMTLP, right? So I was excluded from the whole thing entirely. So I wish that I could have helped, but that was it with that, man. And I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to see if I have anything, and I just don't, man. It sucks.
Did you say that MMTLP was the greatest thing in the world? Is that what you can quote?
I definitely did. Yes. Translated into the
Well, I have a goal, which all of you will help with, but to show people that MMTLP and NextBridge has value, and maybe it's a blessing it doesn't trade, so the criminals can't destroy it.
I don't really talk to a whole lot of people that don't think it has value. I mean, I know there's some people on X or Twitter or whatever the hell we call it that question the assets, but most of the people that I talk to or that reach out to me that I know Richard talks to, I don't think there's a question of the assets and the value. I think right now it's people are very anxious. Their money's been tied up. There's a lot of people that are in dire straits and they want it resolved. That's most of the time when I'm talking to people, that's the number one question I get. When do you think this thing's going to be resolved?
Like most of the things I talk about, I really don't know anything about this, but the people I speak to, a lot of them think there's a lot of value to be had there. I have no idea, but seems like that's the majority of the people I speak with. So
There is. But I think JR's point is that people want their money. They're waiting. They took the 2 days away,
Right.
and that was unfair. But that's not coming back. And now we're in a private company. But to me, not legal advice. And JR, I see one is convincing people that NextBridge, it could be, I think it already is an extremely valuable investment. But secondly, will the system pay cash in lieu of that value? Will they get an equivalent value?
yeah, I was going to say that what it makes it so difficult, and JR have talked about this in Fngr motion, is everybody in the MMTLP crowd, and it's not like, multi-billionaires trading that security. They
Right.
were traumatized because their life was interrupted and terribly impacted. And they have a form of PTSD. Every time that something's good supposed to happen, it doesn't, and it kind of reinforces the negative. And you can understand why people are so anxious, so upset, why it's easy to get kind of splits in groups. It's very understandable, I think.
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
I talked to a gentleman the other day, and this particular individual had, what I would call a sizable position, and was waiting until kind of the last minute to see where things were at. And he was planning on liquidating some of his position because he wanted that cash to do something with. He wanted that cash. It's not that he was in it for the squeeze, but he also was in it for the assets. And given the size of his position, I don't have any reason to think otherwise, but he had indicated to me, because I point blank asked him, well, what were you going to do? He's like, I was going to liquidate some on the last 2 days, no matter what the price was, because I wanted that cash, because I had it earmarked to do something specific with.
Does the name of that person, by the way, rhyme with JR?
No. I'm not bullshitting. This isn't Richard. This is me being honest. And it makes sense to me. You have an individual here that had a sizable position, that made a sound investment based on the assets, had gone through the accumulation phase of the last 2 years. All this was announced. He suspected, like most people, that the price was going to increase, but even if it wouldn't have, he was planning on liquidating some of his position for cash to do that with something else. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there like that. And when they halted it, they took that opportunity away to make that decision for yourself. When they halted, we were all going to NextBridge no matter what.
And it's clear that somebody knew they were going to halt, or knew they could cause a halt, because they destroyed the price. I mean, it's cheating. Well, no, it's worse than that. It's stealing on a grand scale.
Well, it's also because they had blue sheeted the stock, like 3 or 4 days before the U3 halt.
That's
so
right.
It wasn't that not just they knew it, but the brokers knew it, because they had to give them the information about that was in the blue sheets. So they all knew that information 3 or 4 days at a minimum before the U3 halt came in.
Right. I mean, I'm convinced that the powers that be at both Fngr and the broker dealers knew they were committing a crime. They knew it was oversold long before. The broker dealers would have known it was oversold in July when the first S1 was published, and they knew it was going private. At that point, what should have happened in a normal market is someone should have looked and said, hey, we need to clean some of this up. And they didn't. And they didn't because that was the behavior that they've always done in the past. That was the behavior that was accepted by the regulators, accepted by the broker dealers, the behavior that the short hedge funds had done 1,000 times over, and no one had even batted an eye. And 2 things happened. Number 1, we caught them. And number 2, we didn't stop. And we're not stopping.
Right.
And now they don't know what the hell to do.
I don't think they anticipated that. I think that, we got so well organized, and now I always say, you hear me say this, Richard and Jr., that we're putting too much heat in the system, and they're almost getting exposed here, and I don't think
Sure.
that none of them are going to want to be exposed, because let's just say Congress has the blue sheet data, then that means that they're requesting it for FINRA to authenticate it. Now, if FINRA is not going to give it up, so the subpoena is going to have to come. And I believe that that's when they're going to say, oh shit, we got to do something now. And that's just my belief. Once that subpoena comes,
Well,
I
you
mean,
had two,
you
you had
guys are
two things.
attorneys. What comes next if the subpoena does come? I mean, are we seeing a trading? Are we seeing settlement? It's a touchy subject, so I don't know, guys. I don't have the crystal ball,
Have they
but
proposed anything?
I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen until we have that number. I mean, that's the bottom line. And
I'll-
go ahead, Richard.
No, you can finish.
I was just going to say that's always been my mindset. We as a community, as MMTLP NextBridge shareholders, will get nothing out of this until that share count comes out. It's that simple. That's always been my belief from day one.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, two things. We were talking about a date when they knew. So as of November 15th, Fidelity couldn't sell MMTLP. So Fidelity knew at latest November 15th of 2022 that they shouldn't be selling MMTLP, because that was their own internal compliance department that was making that call. So anyway, that goes back to that. As to the other question about the subpoena, so for Congress to issue a subpoena, it's got to be under the penalty of death. It's really something they don't like to do. So they probably try to negotiate with the party who's the recipient of the subpoena as much as possible before they actually serve it on them. So we don't know to what extent that's ongoing. We don't know to what extent that will be ongoing. So then the subpoena is sent, and let's say it asks, we'll just play around a little bit. So let's say it asks for a pen, like a Bic pen. That's the request. And you don't like that request, so you object to that request. You say it's harassing, whatever, and maybe there's a negotiation about the language. And then maybe eventually, maybe you give them a pen, but you give them like a cross pen, not the Bic pen. So they get the cross pen and they're kind of pissed about you got them the cross pen, not the Bic pen, and they demand the Bic pen, and then they ask you to give them the Bic pen. So either you do or you don't. Let's say you don't, then they can go into court and get a court order ordering you to comply with the subpoena. You then have an opportunity to comply with the subpoena. If you don't comply with the subpoena, let's say they give you 20 days or whatever, there may be another negotiation, by the way, over the language or trying to work something out. But let's say you don't comply with that subpoena, they go back to court again, they can get a contempt citation. With a contempt citation, they could put you in jail for a period of time, not life in prison, or they can order a fine or both. That's kind of the scenario.
according to McHenry, this SEC has never been subpoenaed. Am I correct? Was he correct when he said that?
Well, he said I think his language was, he said the chairman had never issued a subpoena. Right. So I don't know. I'm sure in recent times, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're really reluctant. When I was saying that, they're really reluctant because they're really reluctant. So is it possible that Congress has never issued a subpoena to the SEC chairman? It's possible. It's possible.
And let me qualify one thing. When I say we get nothing without the share count, I don't mean we, the community, get the share count. I mean someone in a position of authority that can negotiate, and that would be NextBridge, or maybe Wes gets the data and brings everybody to the table. I don't necessarily mean the share count becomes public. I mean that they absolutely do not want that share count public. Because if that share count becomes public, the integrity of the market is lost. And, that's proof in the pudding that we're right about all these other stocks. Not that I'm not suggesting we're not right, but that's powerful ammunition that's now in retail's hands.
Which is
And-
why I think there might be a settlement organized outside of the legal system.
Well, I was going to say that's also I agree with what both you say, that that FINRA, if they do it once, their concern is if they do it once, then there's no reason they can say now that they can't just do it to every request.
Right.
It's kind of like this. It's kind of relates to Mark Brazil's petition in New York. Once a court says yay, there will be a string of people running into that courtroom doing the same thing in their matters.
Right.
So
That's right.
I think as a principle, FINRA will always say no. If they lose, they will always have an opportunity to resolve the matter. And that's how they would look at it.
Hey, Richard and JR, do you foresee any rules and regulations being implemented because of this MMTLP fiasco? I mean, as for me, what I would like to see changed or enacted is pretty much, why can't the companies have this transparency? They should be able to pull those at any time and give them to them. What would you guys like to see any rules and regulations changed regarding MMTLP fiasco?
Well, it's hard to say if there's going to be any rules and regulations change. I mean, if they're able to cut a deal behind closed doors and they're able to and when I say deal, it doesn't matter what's provided, whether it's trading, whether it's some type of settlement, whatever. If they are able to provide or to negotiate a deal behind closed doors that makes everybody happy and makes us all go away, no, I don't think anything's going to change. If things start to come out in the open and it turns out that there truly is everyday market manipulation that now is pointed to by a large retail community, meaning the MMTLP community, we are going to be all over that. Dave Lauer's organization is going to be all over that. Every lobbyist organization that represents any mom and pop investor, small cap company is going to be all over that. The pressure, I think, would be too great. And yes, there would be changes in the rules and regulations around some of this stuff. So
Could we
really
request
on how the
Sorry, go ahead.
solution comes out.
Could we request for me to have access to the charts? Imagine I got to backtest that. I can have the statistics presented. I can have the entire chart put up. And I'm not even sure if it exists anymore, but I'm sure there's a backup somewhere. Would that be something that could be done? What do you guys think? I mean, I could see the probabilities in really any of those timeframes. To run a backtest on that, imagine. A lot of the sentiment. Sorry, go ahead.
My objection or my rule change or just my practical change is there was a point in time where the regulators had enough information that they should have let shareholders know that they were going to take some action or were considering taking action. Mm-hmm. So they could have, as opposed to ending the stock, they could have frozen the stock, figured out what's going on, and then restarted and continued. Because at some point in time, they knew they had enough information to know that there was something seriously wrong, and they withheld that from investors. So a bunch of investors bought shares of stock at a time when they should have known that they shouldn't have bought that stock, and it was known to the regulators.
Right.
I would be able to run that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that goes back to something I've always said, Richard, that, the terms of service for these broker dealers says that they're going to sell you shares of a company. You're going to hold them in their account. And I question whether or not that terms of service holds up if they know full well that they're selling us counterfeit shares. They're basically selling us things that they don't have, things they can't get, something that doesn't truly exist in the marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, with Fidelity, and it's funny you say that, because with Fidelity, like because they try to exempt everything, any responsibility, but they have to sell you something. So we agree to sell you, valid securities, but they don't, and it's not a huge. That's not a huge obligation.
Right. And that's the spirit and intent of the terms of service. So if they're not performing the most basic function under the terms of service, does the terms of service hold up?
Yeah, and have they?
So,
yeah, and have they breached their agreement with you?
right, right. Well, gentlemen, it's 9:00 and I got to get going for the night. Thanks so much for having me, William and Busy. Thanks for inviting me. Everybody have a good night.
Good night, brother.
And I'm sure that you will all see me around tomorrow.
All right, Junior.
Yep.
And unfortunately, even though he's better than I got to leave after JR because we get paid as a team, so it only works that way. Anyway, I enjoyed it very much, guys.
Thank you. Joined to make me feel lonely.
No, you got plenty of help here. A lot of very bright and very good-looking people. I could see it very clearly. Anyway,
we understand you guys are peanut butter.
have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Good night, Richard.
So just to, I guess we lost people, but today it was announced that Exxon bought Pioneer. And I just looked up, this is the Midland Basin. It's hard to see what you're seeing here, but this here is Exxon's acreage and the green is Pioneer's contiguous acreage. I mean, it's not an exact analog, except this basin here and this basin here. That's what Masterson was one of the original geologists here, and that's what he's trying to do with Oro Grande. Anyway, Exxon paid for I wrote it down from while you guys were talking. Exxon paid, depending if you include debt or not, $60 billion for 600,000 net acres, and the proven reserves of Pioneer, proven reserves, 2.22 billion barrels of oil, which is not, that's how many shares they have. That doesn't include the probables or the possibles or anything else. That's just proven. Well, I don't know if you use NextBridge, it's 3.2 billion barrels is the low end. I've heard as high as maybe 4 or 5 billion. But all I'm trying to say to you, this is Exxon paying stock. And I should do that arithmetic. I didn't do it, what it is per share. But it's $60 billion to buy 2 billion in proved reserves. We've got more here potentially. And when I used 60 billion and divided it out, I got a pretty high per share number. Who left? Who left? Arca's here, Busy's here.
I think JR.
JR and Richard. There's only two, I think. And Big JR too, I guess.
JR just left, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Well, that was like a $250 per share, something like that, correct?
I thought I got
right
a bigger
now.
number than that, 300 maybe. But yeah. Sorry, Arca.
No. I was just gonna say that it's down 3.3 points today. It's at 161.10 right now. So your projection is 300.
Let me do 60. I can use a computer. It's 60 billion divided by 233 million shares is what Pioneer did. But if you use 60 billion divided by 165 million shares, that's the thing. What you use in the denominator, what it should have been at the time that we should have gotten shares, or what it is now. I don't know. That'll be the debate.
Lots of variables there.
Totally.
Plenty. Current market conditions, a lot of crap.
Totally. I mean, that's what makes it so uncomfortable. But I'll try to do this in a better method. But the point is, Exxon, we're in a different cycle in the oil and gas cycle. Exxon just bought Pioneer for stock at a massive valuation for proved reserves in the ground. That's totally different than where Torchlight was or NextBridge was. Say during the COVID years, oil got down to zero. No one wanted anything. So anyway, we'll have to get experts on to show what the value is, Arca. But NextBridge is valuable. And what happens typically is Exxon will buy the Pioneers and maybe the Carrizos. And then after all those companies are purchased, they have to go to the new fields and smaller companies, and they'll come after Nextbridge maybe at that time.
Well, if we weren't robbed with a U3 halt on MMTLP, the movement today that we saw on TPST was what we would have seen if that wouldn't have happened.
Where did TPST close?
$1 million easy.
Oh yeah. It was up at one point to 1150, which
Wow.
well, we talked about it last night at like 30 something cents. It ran 300% after hours, but it ran to 4,000% or really close today.
Wow.
It ended up closing at 10 something, and then it's been tanking ever since.
And that's
after
from 24 cents?
Yeah.
You can only halt so many times before you can apply so much fear, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, it ran and ran and ran. And I remember looking at it yesterday with when you mentioned it, Swing. And I recall seeing the chart, like it was ready to pop off some interesting moves. It's just my only hesitation was that it was already up so far, you know, but it's just the 4 hour, the 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, those all had so much room to go, so much. Right. So this, I can't say that this is a pullback. I can't say that this is a pullback because of that range, right? It really started to kind of drop in like big points, right? So from this point, I haven't even seen it. I haven't even seen to see if it can continue going up. But man, yeah, that was a good call on that, my dude. What was that? I have it saved on my phone, but can you share that site again? Wherever I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it's the PDUFA calendar. And
PDUFA calendar.
Yeah, let me pull out my other phone real quick. Give me a second. And
Sure,
it's give me 1 second.
Man, that was what a call, man. You just said, if you guys want to make some big money, not financial advice, TPST.
So literally, like after August, early September, they have all these FDA like approvals that come through, and the PDUFA calendar is annual. However, it always seems to hit like all these biotechs in the fall,
like in this pocket, right?
Yeah, and it's the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, PDUFA, and this one had some really good news on carcinoma, I believe, for like liver cancer, and then
I think it
wasn't just that though. They had like the poison pill listed in the filing this morning that I missed yesterday. So it was basically the CEO of the company. They found a way to actually keep shareholders engaged without dilution, and a lot of people, you know, they read what I read, and I you know, it had like 126% cost to borrow. It wasn't really that high. The short interest really wasn't that high. That was a lot of retail buying. But I honestly believe the reason that it kept going is people just kept buying. And I believe there was a smaller short. It might have been retail shorts. I have no idea, but that was definitely a short squeeze. I mean, you don't run 4,000% in a day if there wasn't some magic happening, if you will.
I mean, at 126% short interest, I don't know that retail can afford that. That's
no, that was the cost to borrow, not the short interest.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Big JR is in the background, you guys, just in case I don't know if he's
hang on. Where's Big JR? I don't see him.
He said he got kicked off and he's now backstage.
I don't see him, so
probably got kicked off again.
I actually think the short interest was like 9%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Not a lot.
No, not a lot. We've seen way higher.
And yeah, I mean, it wasn't a gamma squeeze because there's no options. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's not an options chain. It wasn't able to be manipulated.
Can try again. I don't see him in the studio, but
okay.
Come on.
I know he sent us a message there in the background chat like 5 minutes, 6-7 minutes ago, around there.
Okay.
But hopefully he can come back in.
Yeah,
they give me a list down here of who I can bring up in, and he's not there. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Maybe
So how
he
about
has
that
to
run?
dial in again or
Yeah, I
something.
think so. I think so. I think he has to just try again. Maybe he's having issues with his internet connection.
No, he told me that he's actually gonna just listen in, but yeah, he got booted for some kind of reason. So he's listening in still though.
Swing, did you trade TPST?
Uh-huh.
Nice. That's a big hush right there. I love it.
Yeah, I was going to sell at 3. Then I was going to sell at 4. I'm going to leave it at that.
What happened, right?
Yeah, I used a little house money. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Good deal, man. Good deal. What a call out, man. I have to give it to you. That's an extreme one for sure. I had no idea, man. No idea I can do that.
So I didn't either. I mean, Jesus, last night, last night I was thinking 300%. There's no way. And then I started reading that filing this morning, and I'm like, ooh, that reminds me. That reminds me. I actually need to look into this a little bit more. And then I watched it start popping off. I'm like, oh my God, and I was hoping it would hit 3, and then it did, and it kept halting, up, down, up, down, up, down, and I'm like, man, there's just so much buying, and I really didn't see the normal chicanery on the ask. I didn't see like the normal players that you normally
wash.
Yeah, you didn't see all of it going on, but yeah, awesome day. Yeah, and then after hours, like there was if I switch off of the screen, I'm going to lose this this call, because every time I like switch to a different screen, I lose it. I don't know why, but there was. Let's see here.
Well, you saw the difference after hours. There's no halts after hours, so that thing just was like, okay, see you later, bye bye. And then went all the way to 11:50, and they dropped it down. So I don't know if it was the selling pressure, but they definitely were trying to keep it away from 11:50.
For some reason, I can't even pull it up right now, but there was several like 600-700% runners after hours. Why? I can't pull it up. I have no unearthly idea on this phone. But a lot of them were really low float Chinese stocks, and I'm like, all right, who's front running these low floaters? Who's pumping? I have no idea. But
do you think it's a liquidity issue in the banking system?
Yep, and I really do. Spence actually called this out the other day. The bond market and the way that things are structured right now. He called it out, I believe, on Sunday night. You're going to see a lot of squeezes coming into this week, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen that before. And I wasn't really prepared. I was kind of caught with my pants around the ankles, if you will, and I was like, I'm going to start looking. And I started digging, and lo and behold, they just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. I'm like, wow, I couldn't believe what was happening. The last one, man. For some reason, I can't pull up my after hours on Webull right now. Anyway, doesn't matter. It was a good day.
Yeah, man. I'm seeing
look at that chart, dude.
Yeah, man. Look at that. It's just this is crazy, dude. I mean, we're talking about 6. Yeah, it went up to 11:50.
Do that. I feel like I've entered the 21st century.
I got algorithms, brother. No, just kidding, man. This is part of your settings. You allow. I guess your guests are allowed to share screens and stuff.
I didn't restrict.
So yeah, this thing had a huge, the ARQ algo gave a huge long signal down here at around 20 cents. I'm sorry, at about I would say about 24.32. It never gave out, even with this massive drop here, and still isn't suggesting a sell signal, a short signal, right? So
what's the after hours part, or it's not there?
Yeah, it's actually this. Let me show you the color. So if we can just go ahead and adjust the I think it's in the symbol right here, this one here. There you go. That blue shaded area, that would be the after hours trading, right? So
okay,
you can see that I mean
okay,
huge drop. And actually, we can measure that too. What kind of a loss was that, right? So yeah, 45% decline from that top side. That's kind of huge.
So do you think that'll continue in the morning, or does is it irrelevant to the during the day trading?
Well, actually, if you're looking at this in the shorter time frames, what you're observing here in these bottom indicators here, let me show you with the arrows right here, right? This is critical expansion, meaning maximum amount of trades or volume traded, right? So, and the one below down here, that would be, let me see, let me go ahead and pull this up here. This is your stochastic momentum. It's telling you which way we're going, right? So if we're at max volatility and we're faced towards the downside this aggressively in a shorter time frame, that means that there's a cascading wave coming in, and it's likely to the downside. The thing is that I can't measure the psychology, right? So if there is some whale that wants to buy huge, then that would be that would be entirely out of my control. But here, notice this. I know it's a little bit dim, right? But you can see the volume dropping here, right? And you can see the price action going up. So this is called a bearish divergence, right? So that usually it would signal that there would be a downside coming in, upon this thing just reaching low volume, right? So that's how you would sort of see this, right? So at this point, I can't tell that there would be a recovery. Your traditional MACD down here is showing that there is a serious release of bull pressure, right? And now moving on to this here, this is showing you that there's a lot, this histogram, the red area down here, that's showing that there is outflow cash, right? So people are selling, people are getting rid of it for now. And who knows if there's going to be a pocket to where somebody can reload, but the invalidation zone here, I'd have to say,
there's a lot of risk.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk. It is a lot. So the invalidation zone in this particular area, let me just get rid of my algo here and show you just in raw price action, right? The very, very basics using candles and stuff. So if you have this massive run up, right, as soon as you get a pullback and you get this nice little touch down here using this candle here, I can go ahead and just point it out. This one right here. So that little wick low breaking market structure, that would be your invalidation zone, right? So you can mark off a trend line here. And once you start closing candles that are, I'd say at minimum, our closures beneath this zone, then we would start getting introduced to some lower targets. So if I'm going to put a quick guess on this, I think that price action may make a couple stops, a zigzag here, if it really is done. I'm saying, right? Because wasn't this thing something to do with cancer swing? Like they had
it was
it's a
carcinoma, liver cancer.
Yeah. So I mean, if it does, let me run a reversion on this. Let me see if. Okay. All right. So the mean right now on the hourly time frame is located at 348. So that's another massive drop. Let me see what it's like on the 12-hour. Mean reversion is at 108. So that's kind of what I was going to say.
A stick of dynamite up there.
Yeah. So that was my point. I wanted to point out the fact that this may be able to drop significantly, in order for it to make any continuation.
They're probably going to do with financing and kill the whole thing.
So one more invalidation you have, just in case you're trading at 361, right? You're going to get a nice bounce at 361, likely to bounce off of 555. Huge swings. No pun intended swing. So from there, next invalidation would be 183, bounce all the way up to 424, and then back down all the way down to 116. So huge zigzag. That is just per the chart, right? So if buy pressure really just subsides from here or just it stops, then there's nothing really that we can do, right? But technically speaking, yeah, we're way overbought, super red hot on all of the momentum oscillators, and it's set to take a breather, and that breather could be disastrous for a lot of people.
So let's pull up the Fngr, because I think people in here want to listen to Fngr or GTI.
Yeah.
And do you, Arca, do you do oil? Can you chart oil?
Yeah, sure.
Afterward, do Fngr.
Yeah, no problem. Whichever USO, WTI,
I'd say WTI because I'm more interested in Texas.
Yeah. So that would display either the weakness or strength for risk assets in the traditional equities, right? So the inverse effect of oil versus equities and stuff. But yeah, man, of course we can do
Well,
that.
do whichever one you would do. Don't listen to me. Maybe
No, yeah,
they
I
have a
prefer-
new index in the Middle East. It begins with an M. Maybe that's I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I prefer, when we have futures contracts versus spot price action, I naturally will, I will always favor futures contracts in order for me to.
Yeah. That's fine.
Right. So just like
Anyway,
the guys on CNBC.
Don't. I'm just interested in oil, one because of the war, but also.
Oh, don't say that word. You get demonetized.
But also the trend. If oil gets above 100. Anyway,
yeah,
do Fngr.
That's it. Yeah, man. I'm seeing like a 105, 115 barrel, man. It could get dangerous, but yeah, in time, right? But we'd have to take a look at that. So FNGR, this was the spot that I was talking to in the live stream today. We spoke about a target of, I think it was 552 to 556 or 559. We ended up touching right down.
Put up. What did you put up here? Is this a
my chart? This is me live. This is actually.
That's actually live.
Yeah.
So it's a website or something.
No. This is actually the Trading View. It is a website too, but no. This is the Trading View software.
I'm amazed that it's working on my show. All right, go on.
All I have to do is just go back to my little avatar and it'll go away. So I was super excited when I saw that.
Don't take it away.
It's just bringing mad value to your to your stream here.
It's just amazing. It's so there's so much utility here.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I was just exploring the software and I'm like, oh, that I can share that. I can share this. That's cool. I can share images, all kinds of stuff.
It's awesome.
So this was one of the targets that we were observing here, 556. Not only was it one that we spoke of yesterday in yesterday's analysis, but it was also a target that was set per the breakout of this triangle here, right? So this was one of those targets down there. I spoke to the team and I said, you know what, you guys, this could be what I spoke about in last night's analysis, that where this could be maybe a liquidity trap. It could be a shakeout. And it would kind of grab some short liquidity here, and then bulls will essentially just use them, right? So it did work out that way, and I've been noticing that is something that these triangles are starting to do nowadays. This is a shift, and we have to keep an eye on these shifts because they don't always happen, and when they do happen, you have to start cataloging the amount of times where this anomaly kind of occurs, right? So what that is the failure, the fake out beneath the regression or beneath the support. So it fails that, and it gives you the idea that it's gonna fulfill the lower targets, but then it doesn't. I said it down here. I said, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing really if it re-entered.
Time frame on this chart?
30-minute time frame. You can see it right back here.
Oh, there. Okay, 30 minutes.
Yeah, so very short-term time frame, very micro. So it ended up getting it, right? So now the targets that we can observe, first of all, the first target was very small. It was around 606. That was immediately knocked out of the park. The second target to observe here would be right up here, right at this trend line here that you can take from the center of the triangle. So you would take it from the hypotenuse, right, all the way down to the very bottom support of the center, right? So that's the second possibility or target that the bulls look at. So you have the first one being the very back of the triangle, then you have the center of the triangle, then you have the area where you broke out from. So 3 bull targets: short term, medium term, longer term. And the medium term one would actually lead to $6.40, and the next one would be $6.75. Of course, the probabilities start to kind of diminish as the targets increase, right? But this is that's pretty much what's being said right now, right? And we also reclaimed the inside or the top side of both of these very strong moving averages. These are the EMA 21 and the EMA 55, traditional in markets, right? And I mean, not to mention that we got a silver cross, right? That's sorry. Let me go ahead and see what moving averages I'm actually using here. Usually my yellow. Oh, okay, gotcha. No, yeah, traditional cross here, 9 over the 21, short-term time frame. Sorry, I forgot I was in the 30-minute. But I just said I was in the 30-minute. But yeah, 9 over the 21, very bullish crossover here, and we acquired that nine, right? And we're going to be. This could be a guide. We could use that as a
Does
guide towards
volume matter in your analysis?
100%. 100%. It must, right? Look at this. We have a huge burst of volume here straight from that bottom side. So
Right.
yeah, there's no way I can ignore volume whatsoever here. So this could be the early indications of a continuation to the upside. And I don't want to just blow it all out of the water here, right? Because what you're observing here is the entire thesis put together. Busy Brands actually said, "Hey man, get in here." He texted me, right? So I'm like, "Oh, I was about to film Fngr." So this thing is actually complete. So I guess you guys are getting the first gist of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem. I'm happy to share. Right. So the weekly time frame, this was one of the hints right down here that we would get supported 566, which is why we said that 562 to 552 to 559 ish area. Right. So we got that very nice bounce from that SMA 10 on the weekly time frame. So this is a huge thing, right? If we can start closing these weekly candles upside of that SMA 10, very simple to read, very, very, very traditional practice here, right? So if we can close this candle here and the next one upside of this SMA 10, that's a bullish statement coming out of FMGR, and likely it would display an upside continuation. Not only that, is that we have several very, very short-term time frame signals like this here. We have a hourly bullish engulfing, right? I think in one of my other charts, I pointed out, I think it was a 4-hour bullish engulfing as well, right? So lots of signals right here. Here's a 3-hour, sorry. So this is a 3-hour bullish engulfing. And just to kind of put it out there real quick, right? I tend to do this because a lot of people don't, I just like to put the receipts out there, right? So we were speaking of yesterday, we could bounce to the upside from a downside first, right? So I wanted to name it this, let the dip follow the rip. But I do that a lot, so I just had to put pullback in that video, right? So to get the bulls kind of pissed off, like, Arca, oh, what? You were supposed to be the pumper right here. I'm definitely not the pumper. So I just wanted to show that, yeah, I'll put out a bearish video, but I will show you the bounce as well. So yesterday's analysis, we pointed out this range here. It would be 615 to 638 with a focus at 624. Price action ended up going to 6. You can see it on the OHLC up here. That's the open, high, low, close. It went to 622. So we were very close to the target that we wanted, but still within the range. So 3-hour bullish engulfing, lots of signals for an upside here. Lots of signals, but I'm not going to give them all just away here. I'm going to make sure that I put this video down because, these things can go 15, 17, 19 minutes. So I don't want to take up all that time, but please ask away anything I can help with.
Let's see if anybody's asking questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's
see.
Ignoring them.
Right. I often say that too when I'm streaming. I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry I didn't pay attention to the chat. There's a lot of inquiries here. I get so zoned in to the charts, right? I really want to, that one time you said, Arca walks around and he sees and he's just seeing these shapes and colors and stuff. So not in the streets.
I hope you weren't offended. I meant that.
No. I was gonna contribute to that and tell you that not while I'm walking around, although I do look at and observe things in probabilities, even in my, and it's actually kind of a bad thing, right? So even in my normal life, I just look at
life in Fibonacci patterns.
In just probabilities, right? But for sure in the charts. So when I observe a chart, it's usually blank like this. Right. So when we have a blank chart, this is my best area to start seeing those shapes. And I'm already drawing them in my head before I can display them to you. If I wasn't streaming, I would probably draw very minimal on my charts.
Sam always says, and he's right, in the middle of a squeeze, the chart's probably not going to matter.
Not going to matter. No, because psychology takes over.
This chart you have right here is 30 minutes.
Yeah, so this is the 30-minute.
Look at that decline before you move it right over that sharp decline. That's the attack.
That's the capybara thing, right? So,
was there anything in the chart prior to that warned you of it?
Yes, there was actually. It's very curious that you would ask that. So the ARQ composure algo that I have that kind of signals manipulation, it did. So let me see if I can pull that up now. An entirely brand new
Look at
chart.
that.
Yeah, man, it's massive. This is it's ridiculous, right? It's yeah, that's fair play, right? Let me
Yeah,
grab one of them.
it's all normal.
Yeah, no, nothing to look at here. All good.
Look,
Right.
I mean, Arca, ignoring technicals, if you were a seller of real shares and the stock's up here for whatever those prices are, and you try to sell and you don't get your price, and then you lower it a little bit, you don't get your price. And then all of a sudden you can't get your price. What are you going to do? You're just going to sell everything you had and drive it down? Why? I mean, it makes no sense. You would have sold on the
You're
way
forced to
up
bag
if you were
hold.
that urgent.
Yeah, you're just forced to bag yourself here in the hopes that you can get a bounce to the upside. But what I can say is that if you do, you know, this is for retail here. So if you do witness something to where you face this sharp decline like this, the faster it falls, the faster it'll bounce. You know, so it's
well, sorry to interrupt, but looking at that chart, it looks like what they did is a shift in time. I mean, we had a stock moving up nicely. They crash it. Now it's moving up nicely again.
I think there's too much pressure.
Crashed it, would it have just continued?
I think so. Yeah, I think it would have. It would have just. This was entering a consolidation phase, right? So they had, I guess, the in a technical manner, right? This is your previous day high at about 737, and you were already kind of peaking out at about 719. So when you start breaking market structure like this, then you would face a pullback. But this is not a pullback. That was a full-on reversal, right? So this is, and
so
it was.
Does it need time to recover, or can we? I mean, my bottom line question is, can we see a rally in the stock by next Friday? I mean, that's options expiry. So.
Yes, right. So, and I'm hearing that there's a lot of options purchasing, particularly in the $7 strike. So if those, I mean, the thing is here is that if those run in the money and they stay in the money, then we're gonna potentially face a gamma ramp, and it's untold where that can
you
go.
Can't see a gamma squeeze in your chart.
No, because we need time. Unfortunately, options require time.
What I'm worried about is that Fngr, you know, I always use the analogy when you get a correction like this, it's like a long distance runner having a heart attack. You can't get up and start running again.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult. And in fact, you know, if anything, it's better for the price action to not impulsively run to the upside, because that would just mean that we have the we won't be
15 minutes. So
yeah, I'm using a 15-minute, but this is it's also like a month long, right? So where you can do a 1 month, 15 minutes, something like that, right?
It's so devastating what they did to that stock price.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to pull up here some time frames to see if I mean, first of all, in the 10-minute time frame, this the composure algo, the one that I developed, did print.
How realistic is all this down in the red? That's not normal.
Yeah, no, not normal at all. This was clearly nefarious in some way, shape, or form. I don't know that someone is just going to take profit all their 700,000 shares at one shot. You know, I don't. Not when the thing is rallying that way. It doesn't make any sense. So this was the first signal here at the 10-minute. This upside. This was already telling you this. The blue triangle is telling you that the current trend is coming to an end. And then at the open of the next day saying, hey, this upside is that's it. There's a reversal coming. And this literally, it says that in the PDF where we display what the ARQ composure can do. And, you know, just like it said, it started reversing, but it's not going to tell you where it's going to go. It's just going to tell you that there's something's up. And the likelihood of a downside is becoming greater and greater.
I don't like that chart, what I'm looking at, but you know what you're talking about. Hopefully it's just because it's such a short time frame.
Yeah. So, yeah. You're looking at it right now so zoomed in. The reason why is because I want to show you the shots of manipulation here. So the 4-minute chart, look at this. So this thing essentially dropped here, right? And then you have your first shot of manipulation right here when we were sitting at 628. The thing immediately capitulated down to 578. It started to recover, another shot. The thing capitulated again, right? So it came down to 579. Another shot down here, really, really shot down at that point, and then started to recover again. Of course, some sell pressure, right? Just in case people are afraid of whatever happened from up here. And then manipulation, it just kept on getting just slammed to the ground. That's only one of the time frames, right? So 3 minute time frame, I'm sure we can see even more. But this is what we did. We identified all of the shots of manipulation, and then at some time frame, I forgot which one it was, we found it at the top. And that's, you know, usually when these X's present themselves, but I can't really this is in partnership with another indicator company, right? So I can't really display exactly, it's proprietary, the concoction behind actually finding the manipulation in the market, but it finds it early. And it usually, as soon as you get this signal here, it usually sells off. And I have my community often checking out those manipulation signals. The holders, the subscribers of ARQ, they often come up in the chat and they say, Arca, 5 minute FNGR manipulation signal just came off on Heikinashi candles. And we check it out. And then of course, price action right after that dips. So I think, you know, it's just another way to kind of try to help retail out and try to combat this. But
I don't like how long this uplift afterward. But this is a short time frame. It's long, so to me it means it's going to go down.
Well, yeah, you're in the 3 minute time frame here. So what I was going to tell you earlier,
I guess it did go down actually over here. So yeah.
So what I was going to point out to you was actually,
there. Okay.
Yeah, this is our massive run here.
I wasn't wrong. 4 hours, and now it's recovering.
Yeah,
that actually starts looking stronger up there.
Oh yeah, there's no complaints behind this chart here, right? So I definitely, in fact, we're in the presence of a potential pennant, and that's that's a very bullish signal, right? Something like this here, right? So not often drawn like this, but yeah, this is a probability of a pennant, and usually when these are built during an upside, which is why it's called a pennant, they favor the bulls. And I mean, we can start already speculating on that topside target. This is not in my analysis, by the way. I just saw this right now, just because we're on the 4 hour. But let's just say that we were to break out of this at maybe October 26th, when we're at about 65-70% to the apex. That's leading to a target upwards of 1179. So that would be the topside target from this.
In that, without looking at the pennant, it looks like buying comes in very strongly. And then they try to push it down, but it looks like strong buying there.
Oh, we can absolutely tell that too, right? We can just load up an on-balance volume, and you can actually see that not many people are releasing the asset, right? So let's go ahead and zoom into this and just kind of observe. Yeah, take a look at this. In the immediate short-term time frame, you're getting a huge surge of buy pressure. As soon as you start putting this up on the daily time frame, then you could really determine where that is. Let me see where the put it on auto. Here it is. Yeah, check it out. All the way from down, down at about $1.28. So you have
almost $12 on the target there.
Yeah, 1179 so far, just using this pennant alone.
Wow.
So that's it's a very typical way to kind of get your price objectives in a psychological manner. But yeah, this look at this. Where was the sharp decline? This sharp decline here. You barely had any release of the shares. I mean, this thing has been acquired, like no one is getting rid of it. It's just continuing to grow as this, like no matter what is growing. Look at this. Like, how do you have all this downside here and no one is selling?
So does this have to go to the end of the pennant, or it can break out at any time?
Roughly it can break out at any time, but the probabilities usually lay on 65 to 70% to the apex of the triangle.
That's where you put
this would be probably one of the trend line here. I just put it there to actually this is 11.
So if I'm counting that, how many more days does it on this? Is
from the 11th to the 26th? Yeah, you're looking
through the options.
It's through the options, but remember that this is not the only thing. This is just a psychological objective this can break out at any point. It doesn't have to go to the, to the 65 or 70%. That's just on average, right? So that's another thing to kind of observe too. But yeah, man, I think to say the very least, I am bullish the asset. Yesterday when I was speaking to, was it you? I don't know who I was talking to in the space call where I said, guys, full transparency, I'm going in at 570. I have a reason to believe this thing's going to rip. I don't care if it goes down to, 5 whatever, but yeah, we came up to 620 something today. So if you did catch that entry, remember that was a paper trade. We are not trading.
I'm an amateur compared to you, but I don't think it's going to touch that lower pennant
this bound here.
Again.
It doesn't have to, because we already have 1, 2, 3, 4 tests. All we need is 2 tests of the bottom side to validate the formation. So we already have that and beyond. Right. This is already potential breakout prep. And seeing how the psychology is behind FNGR, these breakouts tend to happen a little earlier than not. I have noticed that. So, what do you guys think here, right? We're at about 50% right now, right? So, actually, maybe this thing could actually run by the, at the earliest, I think even the 17th. This wouldn't be, this would be really early, but it wouldn't be impossible, right? It just becomes a little more like improbable.
You have to test that upper line 3 times. It looks like 1, 2, 3 already.
Yeah, you already have test 3 in this resistance level, but you don't have these pennants and triangles. They don't have to follow that golden rule of 3. That's the beauty of these, that they just break out when they can. As long as you do have at least 2 tests of your support, that alone, right? That would be the validation of the pennant itself. And yeah, man, look at this. Look at the volume profile. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up a little bit here to give you an idea over what's happening, right? So let me just pull this up like this here. And yeah, your overall volume here on a daily time frame is clearly upside, right? So consolidation with upside volume, it's a bullish statement here. This probably could be ready for a potential upside move. And whatever happened today, rallying into
797 your breakout point, or is your breakout lower like 760? It's hard for me to read, but do you have to go to the very high there to break out, or you break out on the resistance line?
So conditionally speaking, let me put this back on regular candles, right? The Heikin-Ashi candles are a little too average. They're, more used for volume, right? So in this case, I would say that there is a small range, and we would have to start getting some daily closures upside of this range here, 736 to 798, especially 798. You start getting some daily closures here, maybe even a 12-hour. This, you would start.
If it closed over 8, let's say, that would. Oh, there's another line over there.
Yes, if you closed over at 8, this would be the top side here, right? So 818. So closing over 8, your resistance is naturally set to 934 to 980. Any closure, 4-hour closure, even, right? I think honestly, a 4-hour closure would probably do it for me. To close upside of 818, yeah, your top side would be 2 points up. It would be a massive run, and we're also creating a series of a lot of traders look at this as higher probability, right? You're creating a series of higher lows, higher highs, right? So that's always bullish,
right?
And but yeah, doing this convergence of price here.
Do the computers on the bad guys' side? Obviously, they read these charts as well. Are they scared of a price that they're going to have to start covering? In other words, does it get out of control on their computers, so they have to turn to buying from selling?
Well, the computers are naturally hedging on the way up and down, right? So I think that if there's an anomaly, meaning that there's more traded volume than normal, then their current algorithm would have to be updated to take into account a different type of volume entry. So when it's when the parameters are set to a certain level, the computer can lax itself, or it can make itself either more aggressive or more relaxed based on that metric. So if you have anything beyond that bound, then the algorithms would fail, and you would have to in person start to change that script so that it can favor volume that wouldn't be looked at in the shorter time frame or in the shorter levels. So
It seems like it was breaking out of a previous pennant, maybe, or at least a declining resistance line, and it was getting out of control.
So
when they attacked,
so that would be the longer time
possible?
frame. This one here. So you were looking at the longer time frame.
Yeah.
And I pointed this one out too a couple of times, and that's what I said that it's interesting that we would get that huge chart decline.
Support.
Yeah, because it's a clear regression, and then you come back and test it. These are the things that not a lot of people pay attention to, and I'm very happy that you're keen to this, right? Because first of all, trend lines. If I didn't, if I didn't stream live, if I didn't talk to to anyone in public, I wouldn't really use horizontal lines. I'm really a numbers guy. I really like data, right? But then how am I going to make this make sense to the public and not just display like for example, I had to do it for TTOO. There was no way out for me. I had to present this back test that was just so massive, right? Look at this. This is my data sheet. This is what I look at instead of drawing lines. So I would trade like this.
The street as you're walking down the sidewalk.
The shapes and
Arnold in Terminator.
Oh my goodness, man. So it's just, how am I going to make this make sense to retail? Because I can't just say, I've taken metric of every single probability here. No,
that was getting out of control for them.
Yeah, this right here is a clear signal. Yeah, they did, man. So I guess the fight here.
Well, the second time it didn't really get out of. I wonder. This one is, the red line there is just so straight down.
Yeah, that's a complete daily. That's that one day, the capybara, right? And I have to point this out, by the way. The daily time frame candle analysis or candle formations, those are very strong, and they have a good hit rate. But notice this. This is a daily time frame bearish engulfing printed after an uptrend. Very traditional. So what would happen after printing this bearish engulfing is a continuation to the downside. You can see clear buy side interest. No one's taking that. It ignored this bearish engulfing and said, okay, well, let's go up again.
Positive signal.
Yeah, huge positive signal. It's showing that the bulls are not done. It's showing that the bulls are here.
To me, if you take that red out because it was manipulation, albeit at a lower level, the buying continues. The buying was happening beforehand, and the buying continued afterward.
Yep. And if anything here, if we exclude this outlier here, then we would essentially just at this point we would be trading around here or here, right? From this top side.
Yeah.
We would just be doing that little sine wave, right? Just like it does that ebb and flow, right? So I think things are still looking good, right? I mean, in the immediate short-term time frame, of course, there's a little bit of a bearish divergence, but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the bigger picture. And even if it takes a couple of weeks, if it takes whatever it takes, I didn't start analyzing this, from way back if I didn't see the opportunity. In fact, one of my analysts, Sebastian Lim, he's been asking me to chart this since 8 months ago, so I put my hands on it, and I just, I wanted to mediate where the weaknesses were. Right. So, yeah, and it's looking pretty good. I would have to say that we're at 50% of the returns. Right. So meaning that the higher end of the price to the lower end of the price being this chop area, this whole chop box here, we're just upside of the 50% of returns. So that's a very bullish thing, too. Being out. Let me show you like how, again, me talking like everyone can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So let me just show you the shape that I'm talking about. Here we go. So this is the 50% of the return line right here. That's that center line. We're way above that. So that's a very good thing. This chop box is showing here that this range trading is getting ready to make itself kind of fulfill a bull's desire here, right. per se. But yeah, man, I think FNGR is looking good, and I know a lot of people were asking earlier too. So my apologies, team, if you were asking about FNGR. But I hope that this can at least put some ease into the trade for you, right? I know we have a lot of fundamental traders, and we have a lot of people that have true edge around the fundamental side of this. But you know, just to kind of put it out there into the statistical side of things, using SA instead of TA, right? We're going to combine a little bit of TA within that statistical thread. But yeah, William, I like how you observe your charts too. You're definitely not you're very humble by saying that you're you know I see you
I have
though,
a
man. I
lot
see
to be
you.
humble about. But,
Even the
that's
charts that
one
you've shown me with
difficult
your papers, right? You've shown me paper drawings, and that's
thing.
that's honestly what I was asking for MMTLP. Imagine I can get my hands on those.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
I'll put it out there, man, and and I'll even run my algorithm to see if the manipulation was there. Like, let's see how much they can say after that, right? So, Mark Roach, love you, buddy. Thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'm gonna put out this video. I'm not gonna hold back. I'll put it out, even so. I know it's running a little late now. It's 7 p.m. 6:55 p.m. Pacific time. So I know that you guys in the East Coast always wait up for me, and I appreciate it so much.
Well,
But I'll try to put it out for you guys.
I mean, if you're feeling pressure, you don't, we can end this, but I'm enjoying it. I'd love to see your thoughts. You're maybe not done with Fngr.
As a play or
no,
as the
tonight,
analysis?
just right now. Maybe you had more to say.
I do, but it's just you can see how long I've been talking already, right? So it's such a, I can really bring out
you want to save it for your video that you're going to
not necessarily that. Is that I want to save your ears from it, right? Because I want to leave it up to you to come back to the recording and see it or not.
I see where you say we're in the 50-50. So me being negative, I can see, I was taught by one of my best clients, time is dangerous in stock prices. So when it's hanging out there to get a little time, it can come down. But I also see where that could break out to the upside fairly easily.
Yeah, so we broke outside of the 50% of returns, right? Using these three white soldiers, the natural pullback here to validate that 50% of returns as a support, bounce to the upside. Very typical zigzag, right? So I know the older cats use that term in the stock market, right? A zigzag. But yeah, I mean, this is, I think that
actually, when you had that spread out, that's not a bad tiny pennant itself right there.
Yeah, this is the one that we're talking about.
Yeah,
this is the breakout one in the shorter time frame that we spoke of just a bit ago. And not only that, it's just that this is a whole triangle in and of itself, right? So if you can
yeah, it is.
So you can just take a trend line to the bottom regression here. Your breakout target was right here because this candle was the first one to close outside of the regression and not touching the inside. So no inside exposure per the rules, right? So this would then lead targets to $9.97, $10.
Hey,
that makes sense.
Gotta chime in here because I'm watching the chat. They want you to do GTI. Can you do a quick one for GTI, brother?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's pull up GTI and see what it's got in store, right? So I noticed that it did kind of dropped to the area of about 70.99. Yeah, so it came down to 70.99 today. It's still within the critical support range, right? So I definitely don't want to see any closures beneath the. I'm putting it here just out of sympathy, right? But 68 cents is kind of like my max bottom, but in reality, it is located at 67. Right. So I'm saying that I'm putting this here at 68 just in case price action starts to close beneath that. Right. So that would give you a shot to maybe either consider removing like 20-30% of position, letting it drop to another area here, re-entering that 20 or 30%, and then letting it ride. Right. So just in case we have those type of traders, which I am, I when I start to see the price action go against my favor, I will slow my rate of loss down by removing risk. So if it's falling beneath 70 cents, I'm like, well, let me get 30, 35% out of the position. I'll remove that risk because I'm probably going to lose it anyway, right? Let it fall and slow down that rate by 30 or 35%. Let it reach down to that support, wherever that support may be, and re-enter that position there, or incrementally reach it into that area, thus improving your cost basis. So that, it's just strategic, just different ways of looking at the market. There's no problem with dollar cost averaging. It's just, mathematically speaking, you could really shape the way that you gain if you start kind of using math, right? Basic arithmetic to understand how your loss at a downside works versus an upside, right? So just to say this for an example here, right? You have, let's see, hold on. So looking at a 13% loss, you're looking at right here, right? So this is a 13% drop to 62 cents. You would need recovering that 13% would put you at 66, not at a 72. So mathematically speaking, your trek to the upside is a lot more treacherous than it is to the downside, right? So this is why, and this is a very tiny loss, right? I mean, in retrospect, of course, nobody wants to lose 13%, but yeah, 13% drop would take, mathematically speaking, it would take 15.5% rise to get back to break even. So now imagine seeing that 68% or 100%. A 100% drop would, depending on the asset, right? So it can be like a 2,000% rise or something ridiculous. But as far as GTII in a technical scope, let's take a look at it. Let's see what it's got in store for us, because I was surprised. Oh, nice. Actually, I'm seeing a falling wedge.
That's good.
Yeah. This is in the hourly time frame. I'm sure that we can observe this in even a larger time frame, but we can have enough noise here to see what's kind of happening here, right? So yeah, very, very clear, falling wedge here. Just in case I have some listeners in that don't understand what a falling wedge is, it's this, right? It's a triangle that's pivoted towards the downside, right? So this usually signals kind of an end to a downside coming in, and we're at about 50% to the apex of the triangle. So, or yeah, I'd say 50%, right around there. So this still has some way to go, but I need you to notice just how much inactivity there is. This is when you're seeing candles, kind of bottom out at this point here, and then they top out at perfect points like this. This is, a lot of the newer kids call that barcoding, right? So that's when the algorithm is just kind of at a standstill motion, right? It's just because there's low volume, and you can see it here, even in the hourly time frame, there's heavy contraction, meaning that there's really not much happening within the trade. So the algorithm will take over and it'll just do its thing here while there's no volume. So what I want to mention here is that this was the critical support here from that barcode, right? So we broke beneath that, and now we started creating a new support here so that we can start barcoding in, right? So this is going to barcode here until it gets to maybe this point right here. Maybe that could be on next Thursday, maybe even early next Thursday. So at this point here, I think that we could start breaking out, and we would start breaking out from the exact target where we're at now. And looking at this, just looking at this without any indicators or without any type of algo or anything, this is a traditional setup, right? We can observe the top price action here. So I say by next Wednesday or Thursday, let me put it here at the early Thursday. Price action may be able to recover up to 77.32. The first steps to this, though, I can see maybe a 73 first. But I really would like to, what this is showing me here is that the volume for finger motion really does need to push heavy in order for GTII to also face this upside. I'm noticing even in the other, who was it? The other Kramer ticker, ASRE. Even in that one, GTII and ASRE are kind of consolidating. They're sitting within a drop, and then it comes right back up, and it drops, and it comes right back up to the same levels. So I'm wondering if Fngr is really going to be the determining factor for these tickers to run to the upside. But my thesis back on this is just that in the next few days, we're going to be just trading between 69.08 and 70.99 at least for a few days here. Just real consolidation.
That's a nice
here.
Pattern though, right there. That's
yeah, and it's very consistent too.
Hey,
but this is a breakout pattern.
Hey, Arca, can you pull up the OBV on it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what we have as far as the on balance, right? Let's see what it's got going. And we're gonna observe this here. So yeah, there's a lot of people kind of releasing in the hourly time frame, but this is not the way you want to observe this. You want to observe this maybe in the weekly time frame or daily time frame here. So let's also pull back on the price action here. And I know that this is kind of a newer chart, so hold on just a sec. Let me go ahead and just get some. I want to get rid of a couple things here. It's a little convoluted, right? So let me just kind of block the visibility over a couple of things here. And there we go. Okay, so yeah, why don't we take a look at this on the upper time frame. So starting with the daily, and let me see what it would be like on log. Yeah, so starting from back here, January 2021, this asset continues to get acquired, even though you have these massive sell events. Yeah, you have some drops here, but not nearly to where, I mean, if it came down to this area here, then that means that we would go back to the volume to where we were presently sitting, back whenever that was. I mean, how is it up here and not, when we were here, how is it not down here, right? This sell-off point here, how did it not drop all the way down to there? That clearly shows that there's a massive acquiring of this asset, and it keeps on getting bought up. So now if we go to the weekly time frame, clear drop off here, but still look at, I mean, this is just, it can't even measure how far up we are. This is all just typical, and it's based on this weekly time frame range, right? Coming down from that 298 that we looked at a couple months ago. Right. So I don't think that there's any danger here. I think that this is just natural. I almost feel like this is people releasing GTII to get an FNGR. Nothing really major here, to tell you the truth. And seeing that this is some sort of a triangle here, you're having this declining volume with declining price. That's naturally a bullish outlook. Right. It's showing here that the bear pressure could be minimizing itself. Remember, we're on a macro time frame, though, the weekly time frame. Right. So clean drop here in volume, and I think that could be a very good sign for the bulls coming up pretty soon. Not only that, is that looking at this in kind of an early manner here, there is the potential to where we're building this small time or larger time frame inverse head and shoulders, right? So this would be your left shoulder head, potential left shoulder being built right now. Regression line like this, that would actually lead to a target upwards of about 113 to 139, this resistance here. So I think that GTII just needs time. I don't really follow the fundamentals behind this, but to look at this in the most simplistic manner, this is still within a major chop area. And this is, as long as we are within this area here, this is just consolidation before a macro run. Right. So, and aside from that, right, not a lot of people believe like where GTII is sitting. Right. So this was your bottom side here in December 2015. The asset is currently sitting right now 33,500% up. I don't really know where like dead is said in GTII, right? I don't understand how that really comes out into our language, into our daily vocabulary, but I don't think dead is the right word when you're sitting 33,500% up, right? So, but yeah, man, just to kind of put it there, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Sorry, Busy. If you notice something, please let me know.
No, you're good, and I know that you need to tend to your Fngr video, but we would greatly appreciate everybody was happy to have you on here, and
it's awesome
for us. Yeah, thank you so much, Arca.
Not a problem. Hector Pastrana saying, good evening, Tío William. Saludos, Arca. Qué bueno que te diste la vuelta aquí con Tío William. My bro.
See,
He's saying that it's a good thing that I'm here hanging out with you, and salute to all of us here.
saludos.
Saludos.
Is it hard to do WTI or
No. Let's do it
one
real
of
quick.
the ETFs maybe or something?
I think WTI would be preferred, right? Because it is constantly moving.
Or
23/7
futures, or just whatever you think would give an indication.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd kind of like to know short term, but I don't know if you can make a projection, for not now, but I'd love to see your projections on natural gas too for the winter.
You're looking at what was it, the cold or the boil and cold, right? You have the inverse plays there too.
I think there's two things going on with natural gas. In my opinion, there's a lot of gas behind pipes. So as prices go up, they can produce it, but we might have a cold winter. So yeah.
Yes. It is kind of a threat to the entire spectrum here, right? So as far as oil futures, weekly time frame definitely showing some weakness here, which can give some strength to the broader markets and risk assets in general. So
You're right about that.
Yeah, so if we can continue on this path here, I would say a closure anywhere between 80.27 per barrel. That would introduce capitulation down to 77.69. So we can start to see. Sorry, hold on just a sec. My dog just likes to sit under me, right? So my legs are like crossed over everywhere. So, and it's getting really hot. So, yeah, I was going to say that if we can drop back down to this area of 77.69, then we're going to see our gas prices naturally drop too. So let's take a look at a couple of things though, right? Because this, in all honesty, right, we are creating a series of higher highs and higher lows. But I often say this, right? So when you have this enormous space between your first drop and your first or your initial point, the next point being this close to that point is not the best look. Second of all, we have
it looks like it's going to come down and test that declining, that much larger declining resistance. But anyway, go on.
I think so. So this is a very powerful downside here, and it's showing that the market actually has resilience, right? First of all, you have a bearish buy formation here, right? So you have a shooting star paired with your bearish engulfing here on a weekly time frame. And not only that is that you have the next candle potentially giving us that validation for a continuation to the downside. This weekly time frame will be over in 17 minutes 48 seconds, which is tomorrow at market close, right? So we'll be closing this weekly candle here, and this will likely start to continue to the downside based on simply this. There is, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and draw this right over here. There is a trend line here, or a medium, right? And this medium here is very important to not cross over, at least for the bull's perspective within oil, right? So this zone here would mark off your, I guess you can consider this an inflection, right? So this inflection is marked off everywhere. It is a range between 82.14 and 82.51-ish, 83.33. So breaking this range here would, we can come back and to test a couple things. Now, if I were to see why it's going to test, then there's a couple ways to look at that in a technical perspective, right?
Yeah,
so
right there, that's what I was looking.
Right. I think that it has a lot of rhyming there too, right? So let me see how this is actually behaving, because I do see something strange here. Let me just adjust this, right? And so we have this very clear descending channel, which is a bullish formation all in all, right? So what I can see here is that, for the next couple months or few months, we may be facing some probably even a Christmas rally. This may be suggesting a Christmas rally into maybe February or March, weakness in the markets, meaning that we can actually see this drop as low as the $72 per barrel.
You're meaning a Christmas rally in the overall market.
Yeah. So meaning that we're going to get massive weakness in the oil futures here.
Yeah.
So that would give a huge boost to the traditional risk assets and you know, to the equities market.
Yeah.
And we would also see the Dixie drop significantly. So the dollar index may actually follow along this macro trend here. So I do see downside coming in. So now if we can look at maybe some indicators, take a look at this stochastic momentum versus volatility. We actually have a huge, very, very convincing drop on both the EMA 3 and SMA 14, huge contraction happening. This is a natural phase happening in the markets, right? This is it's a contraction period. We need to make sure that we can have oils drop to a fair value. As soon as we can get that fair value drop, then the markets will start to experience some pressure to the downside. And I think that the markets will probably start feeling that if it is that we don't have some crazy macro news, then we would probably face some pressures to the downside come March, maybe April into May next year. And that's historically known, by the way. The bearish cycles within the S&P 500 and the 6-month chart, July to November, October, those are your worst performing months for the S&P and broader markets. So I think the only reason that we're standing at the point where you're sitting here is because of this. Let me show you one more thing, a little quick trick here, right? So you have a massive weekly gap right back here, right? This zone here.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, right, people are going to try to take long entry there for a quick ride. But once you start diminishing the time frames, going into maybe the daily or 8-hour time frames, you can clearly see that this is more of a dead cat bounce, right? So now, if we were to measure that dead cat, and also definitely a little hanging man up here. This candle is a little too high for it, but definite hanging man there, very bearish, right? So here's another way to look at this, right? Let's take the top of that hanging man all the way to the bottom side of that dead cat. We apply it. We apply that trend line to the bottom side, and where are we taken to? Look at that, 75.85, right at the bottom side of the gap that we were talking about, right here.
So hasn't that gap been filled, or does it have to do something again?
Oh yeah. The gaps. I keep previous gaps in order for future play, right? So yeah, this has been filled many times over, but that doesn't mean that that the sentiment or psychology ignores it. This is
the top of that line is more. Oil's going to go through that gap, I think.
Yep. That would be the first indication. And I'm thinking here that maybe by let's see, late October we can see $71, $72
that's really
barrels.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
And I'm really a fan of this too, right? Because we're going to be able to get a good rally to the upside in the broader markets. And
well, that's partly why I was asking you, because I don't know what level, but if oil goes over 100 or maybe 120 or it's some number, it's going to be devastating to the stock market probably.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree.
Not happening.
I absolutely agree with you. So before we can actually just capitulate here, there may be a small bounce, right? And in order for us to validate a current resistance,
of that brown wedge you've drawn.
Yeah. So and then you can also see this as another silly formation, right? So we can go ahead and take into account this. Right. You take a shoulder here, right? Take a head right over here, and there's a possibility of building the other shoulder here. So we could be in the process of building a head and shoulders. And now this is your regression here would be, arguably, it would be this here, your neckline, right? So if you have that neckline there, just take a trend line from the top side of the head, right? And then apply it to that bottom side of the shoulder. And that would take you where? Look at that. Right to the support of the, where we're saying 71, 72 bucks.
That looks like the siren song right down there.
So, nice. But yeah, William, I think we're looking pretty good. Hey, buddy, how you doing? My little guy's over here. Hi. Say hi. Oh, I love you.
What puppy dog is he?
Hi.
Oh, it's not a dog. It's a kid.
Yeah, it's my 3-year-old boy. He's come to visit me.
He's tired.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go ahead and let you guys loose because he actually opened up the fridge, and I know that fridge is open right now. So he's got the lemons out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arca.
I love you guys, man. No, not a problem at all. I'm happy to help.
That was awesome. We'll have to do it again.
Sure.
You're amazing. Yeah.
No, man, no. It's just whatever, little shapes and figures and stuff, very basic stuff. We'll learn together, and we'll learn to combat the markets, all together.
All right, everyone, show Theo Arca some love, guys. Thank you, Arca.
Nah, show you some love, brother. You do so much for the community, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. But I'll try to put out this video tonight, okay, you guys? I love you. But yeah, that's William. He's pointing at you. All right, you guys, have a good night. Take care, everyone.
All right,
adios.
Thank you.
So busy. I don't know how much longer to keep it going.
I'm going away too.
Say that again.
That I'm going away too. I am.
All right. Well, then I think maybe we'll close it. You can go. You don't have to wait while I mean, you're welcome to stay while I say good night to everybody. But no, that was great, Busy. And I probably have to learn from you. If Arca can come in and bring his screen on there, that means in future discussions, guests can bring their presentation. That's awesome.
And this is the reason why I wanted you to just test it out today, and I think we did good. I mean, you had total of 6 people all at once, and you figured out how to put the names on, and you just get the hang of it. And I think that from now on, you should definitely send the link to Ham and having.
I think that's awesome. Too bad I bought the speaker. I could send it back. But yeah, the other thing is the gentleman, I forgot his name right now. He was drumming. He pointed out that maybe I was using the wrong microphone, and it's true. I looked. This microphone wasn't even working. It was the native microphone in my computer. That's why people couldn't hear.
No, it sounds great. And again,
so I'll get that fixed.
Now you could have some good special guests on and do it this way from now on. It was awesome, and you got the hang of it because I seen you, putting the banner of the comments back and forth, and then you.
Yeah, also... I'm learning as it goes. That's how I do things. I never like to read instructions. By the way, not to steal any thunder at all, but Avid Trader texted me that if I'm understanding this, he may have called out if I'm reading this correctly, the TPST trade on the Discord call that he had. Anyway, it's a great trade. Who could have seen that coming? TPST. I wouldn't chase it though, is my sense.
No, I mean, I'm staying in my finger position. I'm not going where. Yeah, I mean, if you got dry powder,
I tell you, Busy, Arca does a great job with that, and he's not. He can interact. He doesn't get impatient with my stupid questions, but that was really informative on Fngr, on GTII, and I loved it on oil at the end. So that was great.
It was a treat tonight. All right, guys, have a good night. And
all right, Busy. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.
And who is Busy Brands? He's Clark Kent.
Clark Kent. All right. Good night, William.
All right. See you later. Bye. Everybody, if there's some questions, I'll do something. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Hector. I wish I could speak Spanish, but maybe someday. I'm up to 2 words, sí and gracias. And hola, that's 3. But that's great, Hector. Thank you. That was fun listening to you guys. Let me just see what. Thanks, Sharon. That's great. Check out, let's see who this is. Bunny Chico. Yeah, the SECO, that last one there, Ham called that out, not called it out, but he pointed it out. That's a better word on the call earlier. I didn't hear about OPGN. Busy Brands is the best. He's selfless, hardworking, and calm. He's calm. Yeah, I'm going to go to sleep. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Buenas tardes. All right, I don't see a whole lot of questions. Neil said thank you to Arca, and I don't know if you'll see it later. Jim said thank you. Mark said thank you. Busy said thank you. Mark said, Santa baby, will you come down the chimney tonight? Santa honey. Any thoughts on, I don't know anything about Tattoo You. I'll keep my eyes open. I just don't know. I draw a big blank on that one. I don't know anything about it. What do I drink? Hey, Ramiro. That's a great picture of you and your family. No, I don't know what it is. I actually think, Ramiro, it makes no sense. And I can't analyze myself, but I think I'm shy. I think also I'm, can be a little bit of, I can be quiet and pulled back. However, I think I'm an extrovert. And so when I spend so much time alone, I think I get a little bit down. So maybe I get some energy, Romero, from the energy of Busy and Swing and the two JRs, and then Arca came on, and even having Ace on, I thought that was thrilling. It's too bad he disappeared. But so maybe that's it, Romero. I don't know. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it forever. I do also have a desire to see this through. NJ asked me if I was down, I guess, or overwhelmed, and maybe, but I think it's a big task what we're trying to do. I really mean it when I say it. I think the SEC is controlled by these big pools of money, with Goldman Sachs being one of them. And the odds are just so stacked against not only CEOs, but we as investors. Just look at the chart he put out on Fngr. It's just devastating, that destruction. But anyway, all right, let's answer some questions on Offidesen. Let's answer a couple here. There's NJ. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ocean Sailing. El Tigro. Yeah, I would take his course. He's I think Arca enjoys sharing that information, and selfishly for you all, go ahead and absorb it, because and I think Avid and a couple of others do an excellent job too. But Arca can teach you, and then if you're trading, two aspects. One is if you're establishing a new position, he can help you do that. Two, if you're trading, it seems like he's pretty good at that. But also, if you have a position, he can help you trade a stub part. I don't know. You've got 25,000 shares. Maybe you trade 5,000 with his guidance, and then you slowly build the 25,000 shares up to 30, then 35. Let me see. What do you think Fngr earnings will do in the AM? Two things. No, I'll say three things. One, I think revenues are going to be dramatically higher. Two, I think it's possible they will have earnings. They haven't had earnings before. You know, it's always been losses. So if they have positive, that'll be great. And then thirdly, their forward guidance that'll be included in the report will really matter. And then just broadly, Roger, ignoring all of that, the fact that they're released will lift the cone of silence on activity, which I'm guessing that the attorneys at Univest and the attorneys at Fngr are saying you can't do anything until the earnings are out. So that would lift that, and I think that would be good all by itself. Feeder's saying. Okay. Okay. I like the kitty cat. I doubt that. It's probably because you work so hard. I think we have a future. Hector, my opinion, listening. Hector, remember, technical is technical. Fundamentals can change prices, volumes, breakouts. So when you're trying to look at technical only, I've dealt with technicians in my life. They won't even listen to fundamental stories. They don't want to hear it. They just want to look at the prices. But fundamentals can change prices too. So it's not that it's strictly always correct. It's just the preponderance of it's the probability. Anyway, what I heard today, one thing that worried me, and I can't deny it, is if Fngr takes 2 weeks, we don't have 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but it looked like it could go till the end of October. We don't have that. On the other hand, we do have 2 more days this week of trading and all of next week, and that's plenty. So slight negative, but the positive I saw on Fngr, I think those charts and the breakouts are there. And he got very technical, so I cannot reference all the things he was showing. But it was interesting to see that at about $7.97, I think, you could get a breakout. So call it just under 8. And then maybe late nines, $10. And that all fits in with a steady accumulation, building pressure as they go to get a breakout and maybe a margin, a buy-in potentially, I don't know, at 8, 9, 10, 12. That all looks good. All right, so that's technical, and I'm not that as good at it. But on earnings, I think you're going to get really strong revenues on Fngr, strong forward guidance whenever it comes out, and then they're going to be able to release the hounds in this. I don't know what that means exactly, but in the sense that to the extent Fngr hasn't been able to implement whatever strategy they have in terms of capital, and to the extent that Univest is waiting, earnings release there's nothing left for them to wait for. So I think that's positive. But Hector, my opinion, Fngr goes first, and then that will not only help GTII, it will cause GTII to follow shortly there behind. That's how I see it right now. It can always change. Thank you, Anil and Jim. Yeah, that's AP. I was just saying that. Another 2 weeks or more on Fngr, and that, my friends, is not good for the calls. But that's one bit of data. Now, AP, you'll have to watch his video, and because I can't speak for him, but he also made it clear, and he is accurate on that. And by the way, that also applies to GTII. That descending wedge looked pretty pounceable for GTII. You don't have to wait till it ends. It can break out. And that can happen in Fngr. Fngr can break out well before that 2 weeks, well before on that chart. But yeah, I heard that too. And I hate, you have to include the negatives. What are the negatives? You have to include the negatives when you're trying to make projections. And for Fngr stock, I think it's awesome. It's great. But for those calls next week, it's the last thing I wanted to hear, that it could go that little bit longer. But to be repetitive, because I don't want I don't want to end on that negativity in this comment. The way I was seeing those charts and the way he was talking about the percentages that you have to go out on the pennant, it could happen. It could also happen tomorrow or Friday or Monday. So let's just see what happens. But realistically, AP, you may be right. Thank you, Mark, and your lovely family. You're a lucky man. That's the Mark. I know this is a tough time, maybe for you and others, but the wealth you have is right there in that picture, and we all have wealth. We have to see it, but I'll tell you, I notice very keenly that I don't have children and I don't have a wife. So I think it's not. I don't want to spend my fourth quarter maybe in regrets. I don't want to have that, because every choice you make, as you know, it involves an opportunity cost. So by having a family, maybe there's something else that you can't do. But I will say, from my personal experience, looking back on the detritus of my life, the one thing that I think is valuable is family, is the love you show in that picture. So that's your wealth, and enjoy it. And it'll last all your life. I'm not trying to say it won't last. I know I learned a lot today. What's OA? OG is original. OA is ACE. I don't know, Ian. There are things I need. I think the biggest one is probably just prayers. Yeah, I can think of some things, but they're all on a non-material level. So I've been very grateful, Ian, for the last 2 months. My dog is doing great, and I don't know how much more time I have with him, but I've been extremely grateful for his joy and his attempt at still being that puppy with his floppy ears and his paws and just sharing that. So I've been grateful for that. But no, I'm here. Ian, I'd like to see everyone get through this. It's obvious there's no specific answer in the stock market. There's no one right decision, but there's also, it's completely unfair that not only do CEOs have to fight their own so-called investment bankers like the pretenders at Lynn Partners, but then the investors have to fight this criminality. And there's a gentleman I'm going to have on. He said he would do it, and maybe with Anna. But it makes you wonder if it's ever going to change. Gary Gensler is not going to do anything about it. He's going to do his time and see if Joe Biden is reelected, and possibly Hillary will step in, and then Gary could be the Secretary of Treasury or something else. But he isn't going to put anything up as a roadblock to possibly, well, according to this article, trillions of dollars that are being sucked out of your accounts and your economy by a very small group of people who feel like somehow they're God's gifts to the world and they have a right to pillage on a scale that I don't think has ever been seen before in all of humanity. And Gary Gensler is not a courageous man. He's a mouse, not a man. Well, that's it. They don't need, if they get that billion, they don't need to really expand, but you're exactly right. And the opportunity in Fngr at this price. I wrote a whole research report myself. I couldn't get it published. I guess I'm not a good writer. But one of the points I was trying to make is that you're able to buy Fngr even now at venture capital valuations, at early stage valuations, or to look at it in a different way, you're buying a company that's being priced as if it's getting into an emerging market economy that still has risks and has to grow. In fact, with Fngr, on just one of their pistons, the Met Re and Pacific Re. It's not Met Re. Pacific Re, and anyway, they have two big insurance contracts. Sorry, I'm tired. You're able to get into the world's largest economy by many measures, as if you're getting into a tiny new third world economy, but you're able to come in. The economy's booming, insurance is going to be booming, and you're going to Fngr is an exciting investment, ignoring the short, in my judgment. See, I always forget what I explained, but I got to go to bed. I know. ARCA's, okay, let's see this. ARCA's number of 11. That's an interesting point. That's a very good point, Dos Equis. Maybe that's where the 11 came from. They all look at the same charts. I don't know if the earnings, Richie Rich, are coming tomorrow or not. I will say this. I think they definitely will be out by pre-market on Monday. They've never been late on their earnings. And I think the latest date, which could keep that record clean, is Monday. On the other hand, somebody said it could be all the way to the 20th. We'll find out. So Quintainment, yeah, it's 10. Is it 10 here? Yeah, 10:44. What time is the earnings call? Oh, that's nice. That's nice, Kevin. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, carry her on your shoulders. Pick her up. That's amazing. I know you think 52 is old, but you're a young man, and she's going to be such a gift to you. I would. It's hard. You want to give a big hug. I know that's really wonderful. Oh, busy brands. Get some gummies. Gummy. Oh, you love this show? That's great. Well, we'll have another one. Yeah, I tried to. He doesn't respond that well to hugging, but he'll sometimes come up and let you do it. Thank you, Giannis. That's very nice. Well, it shows in your picture. It shows in your picture. Thank you, Donna. Lucky in love or money, or lucky in money until your lover takes your money. Well, yeah, it's funny, men. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave that at that. I don't want to comment. Thank you. Looks like we made it. Yeah, I'll take a break. Yeah, I think BBJ, I really do need a break, and I'd like to do that. But I like tonight, I didn't really intend to come on, but Ham wanted me there to come on. So there's an aspect of we're just right now, it feels like Fngr is meant to happen. And I think in my small way, but it's everybody's, keeping the pressure on, it can break through, but I don't know. I despair sometimes. That's 100% right. And I think a lot about the health. And I think also, BBJ, I think why have stress, but I take your advice very strongly. I hope we can have a breakthrough, and then we can all take a little bit of a siesta. Thank you, Quintainment. It hasn't been my strong point. I get worn out after these things, and sometime all I can do is just take the dog out, come back, and crash. And it's as much as I answered with Hector before that I get energy maybe from being around people. This isn't strictly being around people. I also get drained. I really get drained. And as corny as it is to say, I think I absorb emotions and absorb, my mother would call it energy, and I hate using that word, but anyway, I get drained. I'll just resort to George H.W. Bush. I don't spend a lot of time looking at my navel, he said. I'm going to go to bed. If earnings are released tomorrow, I'm not sure they will be, but I think the shorts will try to destroy the price in the pre-market and the early trading so that everyone goes, oh gosh, those earnings are terrible. But I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll work. I think natural buying will come in. I think the focus on the earnings has to be on the revenue and the forward guidance. If there are in fact earnings, that would be a huge event in the growth of Fngr. But XRQ9, I don't know if it'll happen tomorrow. If it happens tomorrow, I then don't know if any buying would come in right away. But I think it would allow some investors that maybe have had access to the earnings information, but they can't act on it because it's material inside information. Once it's announced, they can act. And if you think of that research report that was the crappy barrel report, supposedly gives cover to the idiots of the SEC, believe it, so they can sell the stock down. Earnings could give a lot of cover to major buying in Fngr. Those are my thoughts. Cheers, Mark. Why so late tonight? Don't forget to drink water. Good advice. Great stream. Thank you. We've got to get some better lines in there. You know, Susan is quite lovely. Have you ever noticed when the sun hits her when the light hits her from a certain angle? Of course, you can't always count on that light. And she makes a really nice chicken. Have you ever had Susan's chicken? Univest clients want Fngr around 5 because they get called cheaper. I don't think so. But everyone wants to get their calls cheaper until the calls are cheaper. And when the calls are cheaper, people go, oh my God, it's going lower, lower. No, I don't. I think Univest clients are big. And believe it or not, in my judgment, they're Wall Street types. They'd rather buy the stock at 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 if they are playing it for a squeeze of some kind. They don't want, if it goes down, they don't know if it's about to run. I think that's part of the power of the crash of the last couple of weeks. The manipulation, illegal manipulation to the downside, is that it caused maybe some of the people ready to buy to just say, well, let's see what happens and pull back. So no, I think Univest clients actually would rather buy the stock on the way up. So I don't think they're looking for 5. Thank you, Robert Armstrong. Thank you, Liller. I will, BBJ. I'll take a break. Party in Vegas. Party in Vegas. I don't know. I guess I'd show up to that. Yeah, I think that might be it, Brandon Boyle. I don't know. I like this. A Spanish siesta like Malga, Spain. That'd be great. Grow up. Smile, Arthur. People work here. This is not an invitation, Linda. Gloria, whatever, Linda. Celeste. I like that. Tell her hi and sleep tight. Tell Celeste, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite, and have great dreams. That's great. All right. Arthur. Oh, talking about the movie Arthur. Perhaps you'd like me to come in and wash your for you, sir. You know what I'm going to do, Hobson? I'm going to take a bath. Would you like to? How did he say it? Could you pour me a bath, Hobson? It's what I live for. Do you know I never looked? Yeah, maybe next week is showtime. Moon River. Are you using your whole hand, Doc? All right. So we've come to the end. And I think we've got 4 minutes. So I'm going to call it, put a lid on it. Is that the expression? Celeste. That is great. Tell her I'd give her a kiss on the top of her head. Sweetheart. All right. I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to wish everyone yeah. I'm going to wish everyone, I got to look up there. I'm going to wish everyone peace, love, and happiness. And maybe tomorrow I'll be a billionaire. I bought a ticket to the Powerball. And if I am, we'll go to Vegas early. So anyway, we'll talk tomorrow. Don't stress out. And we'll get through this. We'll get through this. And I'm gonna have people talking about oil and gas. We'll talk about all this. Busy's gonna help, and he's already got some guests lined up, so he's great. And all right. So I'm gonna say I don't know. That I don't know. I'm going to say Buenos Aires. I'm going to say ciao. Okay, so ciao, everyone. And we'll catch you on the flip side.